Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary NASCAR Cup Series coverage as we have the running of the Verizon 200 at the Indianapolis road course layout for this afternoon. It is the third to last race of the regular season for the regular season for the NASCAR Cup Series. Got two road races and then Daytona for the regular season finale over the next 3 weeks. Tight battle for points, a win and you're in, and also we've got a battle for the regular season championship still going on with some of the Toyotas at the front of the point standings as well. All that will be unpacked and more with our pre-race coverage. We'll have predictions for who I think will run well, not run well for today's race, and obviously at the end we'll see how those predictions will play out over the next couple of hours. Appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Sunday afternoon. We're expecting a pretty big weekend as far as viewership for this stream, so if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like for this stream as well helps out the algorithm and gets these streams and videos uploaded on the channel pumped out to other related NASCAR content on YouTube and people that follow other NASCAR content here on the platform. Chris Kennedy, Philip Moore, Melinda Leverett, and Jonah Marco, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the first in the chat down below. We've got predictions for today's race as we usually do on the channel. We did not have a live commentary stream for last week's NASCAR Cup races. I was at the Michigan International Speedway for the Cup Series event. We still did live commentary for the Xfinity race last week. On Saturday, I was only at the Cup race for Sunday and then the finish of the race on Monday with the rain postponement. So if you haven't checked out the race highlight videos from the grandstand from both Sunday's portion of the Cup race and Monday's portion of the Cup race, they're two separate videos. Be sure to check those out at some points later on tonight. And as for today, we have Indianapolis. It'll be fun race, I think. I'm excited to see what this race will bring. I think there's going to be kind of a toss-up between a handful of drivers who could potentially win this race. Strategy is going to be huge. Probably going to be looking at a two-stop race for most of the field, considering there is no stage breaks for today's race. There are still stage ends, but technically there's no cautions for it, so points will still be awarded throughout the course of the race. But strategy definitely will be big, as we've seen with the road racing in the Cup Series so far this year. Jeff Sperry, Patty Rumdy Creations, Gerard Mercer, also welcome to the stream. So let's get into the predictions. If you have not already joined the NASCAR Fantasy League, you definitely want to do so. The playoffs are right around the corner. You automatically qualify for a playoffs if you are just in the league when the league starts, so you have 3 more weeks to enter here to have a chance to win. We'll go to how you can get to the Fantasy League. If you're on the NASCAR.com website, you can go to the quick link section at the top of the screen as you see here. Click on Fantasy Live. And then, obviously, if you don't have an account yet, you'll sign up with your email, create a password, free to join. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race of your choosing the following season if you win the regular season or playoff championship. We have 3 races to go in the regular season, so we'll take a look at the points coming into this week. Inside Your 8 is currently leading, trying to go for 3 straight regular season championships in the league. He has 4,457 points. Pretty narrow gap, though, he has over not an Elliott fan, who is now in second place, who is only 45 points behind him. P-Shat Motorsports still in contention as well, within 200 points in third. I'm in fourth place with 4,245, and Dark Crypto sits at 4,232 points. Pretty tight battle between the third and fifth place group. If you're within a couple hundred points going into that regular season finale at Daytona, you still have a shot to get it done. You pick 6 drivers every single week. You start 5 of them before the end of Stage 2. Once Stage 2 ends, it will lock in your top 5, and you get points based off of how the driver finishes as well as how they perform the stages, similar to the points that they earn for that said race. And then there's bonus points as well, where there'll be 4 head-to-head matchups, 10 points each. You just pick one driver over the other based off of the listed drivers that they have for the week. That rotates every week, and for your fantasy lineup, you can only play the same driver up to 10 times throughout the course of the regular season. I think for the playoffs it's 5, if I remember correctly, from last year. And then sometimes, they didn't have this last year, but the year before, they had it where you had to pick 2 drivers that were in the playoffs and 2 that weren't in the playoffs every week as well. So I'm not sure which way they're going to have that this year. We'll find that out in a few weeks, but we have to worry about this regular season championship first. There's 43 members in this league right now. The league is expanded to have up to 100, so again, if you're not joined, there are free spots available. And again, got a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race of your choosing the following season, so definitely want to hop in on that. Jeffrey Giordano, Southern Farms, also welcome into the stream. So here we go. We got predictions. Drivers who I think will run well, not run well in today's race. You can maybe place some top 10 bets on some of the sleeper picks I'll end up having in here. I feel very confident about my picks this weekend, particularly for the sleepers and the don't-haves this week. The must-haves is kind of tough. I'm still tossing up who I want to win the race. I haven't made a correct selection the last 6 weeks now, so trying to get back onto the winning ways there. Still stuck at 6 race win predictions so far on the season. And I think the last one I had was Kyle Busch at Gateway back in June. So, yeah, it's definitely been a little bit. I picked Chastain to win last week. I know I didn't stream, so I didn't tell you guys who I was going to pick to win, but I did pick Chastain. He ended up finishing in 7th. Led laps early, but he wasn't really up at the front really since the end of stage 1. Truex had the dominant car of the week last week, but it was Chris Buescher who actually ended up getting the win. And it'll be interesting to see if he can go for 3 wins in a row here today. He's starting fairly deep in the field. He's going to have his work cut out for him, but you just never know, especially, again, depending on what the strategy looks like if we see multiple variations of that said strategy. So this week's predictions, we'll start off with the don't-haves for drivers who I think will finish outside the top 10. I usually start off with the negative, finish with the positive, get the negative stuff out of the way first. I feel very confident about these 3 drivers. They all race for bigger organizations or are former champions. And we're going to start off with the team that has been flying over the last few weeks, really. This team has been very, very fast, and that is an RFK car. Chris Buescher's won the last 2 weeks, but I don't have Chris Buescher on this list this week. I have Brad Keselowski. His road course stats with the next-gen car are abysmal. He's only had 1 top 10 finish in the 9 races we've had on road course or street course with the next-gen car, and that only top 10 was last season at Sonoma where he finished 10th. So he's not really good on road courses. He was very adamant earlier this season when they were at COTA that they didn't really put a lot of emphasis on the road course program, considering there was only 1 road course race in the playoffs, and there's a lack of road courses compared to ovals on the schedule. So we've seen Chris Buescher have good runs on road courses at times this year, but not as consistent as what he was last season. So I didn't want to put him into this list, but Brad Keselowski's been the outlier there. He has been bad. His finishes on road courses this season, the 3 that we've had, COTA, he finished 35th. He finished 16th, which was his best finish of the 3 at Sonoma, and finished 24th in the Chicago street race about a month ago. So stay away from Brad Keselowski today. He's an easy no-go pick. I wouldn't be betting any money on him to win. There's a reason why he's plus 300 to win today's race. Let's just say it's not going to happen. Qualified 22nd as well, so he started pretty deep in the field. 21st in practice, so he's probably going to pretty much run about where he qualified because that's where he's been on speed all weekend. Buescher was about 5 to 8 spots ahead of him in practice and qualifying, so I think Buescher may have an outside chance at a top 10 finish today, but I wouldn't put Keselowski anywhere near the top 10. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he pretty much runs 20th on back for most of this race. He finished 14th or worse in 8 of those 9 races on road course as well. So I mentioned that he only had a top 10 finish the one time. That was Sonoma last season, but he has finished 14th or worse in those other 8 of the 9 road course races. So again, stay away from Brad Keselowski. Also stay away from Denny Hamlin. He's been very hot over the summer months. Both him and Martin Truex Jr. have really turned it on, especially Truex, obviously. But Denny Hamlin has not been good on road courses with the next-gen car either. He was pretty good in road races with the Gen 6 car. Had a win at Watkins Glen. Was always pretty consistent for the most part with the Gen 6 car. But with the next-gen, even though the Toyotas have been quick on the road courses rather this season, Denny Hamlin, for whatever reason, has not been. This weekend, he qualified 25th, was also 26th fastest in practice yesterday afternoon. So I would probably lean towards not having Hamlin in your lineup as well, even though he's had speed this season. Denny Hamlin has actually finished outside the top 10 in every race with the next-gen car on a road course or street race. So I mentioned Keselowski had 1 top 10. Denny Hamlin doesn't have any top 10s. Stay away from Denny Hamlin. Finished 14th and 23rd in both Indy road course races. I know he almost won at Indy on the road course in 2021 if it wasn't for Chase Briscoe getting into him late, but also remember, again, that was the Gen 6 car. He did perform pretty well on road courses with that generation car, but this generation car, he has struggled. So I think the Toyotas will be quick again today. Probably expect to see Reddick up in contention for most of the day. He's been probably the best road course racer with the next-gen car in the Cup Series. Who else? Ty Gibbs was pretty good yesterday. Truex has just been bad fast and looks not quite as quick this weekend as what he has obviously throughout most of the summer. I know he won one of the road races at Sonoma, but that was also a track where he had won at 3 times before he ended up winning this year. Indianapolis, not quite as consistent for Truex at this racetrack, but he may still have a good day. Denny Hamlin is that guy out of the Toyota camp to stay away from. There's one other driver from the Ford camp, which probably a lot of you don't have in your fantasy lineups or aren't considering having a good run considering how they've ran pretty much this year, especially compared to last year where he was pretty good on road courses and short tracks. But this season, he's been bad pretty much everywhere, and that's Chase Briscoe. Briscoe, I know, again, this is probably his best road course. He's ran really well here from speed, but just hasn't gotten the finishes as a result. I mentioned he was up in contention for the win in 2021, and he also ran top 5 for most of last year's race, but was on the wrong side of strategy in the final stage, would put him back in the pack. I think he may have spun on a late race restart down in turn 1 as well, or gotten turned, I guess, while running in the top 10 in that race. So he has had speed here, but he has not had speed this season. He qualified the best of the 3 drivers on my don't have list this weekend. Qualified 13th, was also 13th in practice. So that tells me he was pretty much getting the most out of his car yesterday. He was the fastest of the SHR Fords in both practice and qualifying yesterday, so I don't expect much out of SHR today. I know they've been picking it up on the ovals, but the road courses, they are still struggling mightily this season, so stay away from Chase Briscoe. His finishes on road courses this year as well, not good. He had 8 top 10 finishes last season, and I think 4 of those were on road courses. This year, he hasn't had a single top 10 on road course races, 15th, 29th, and 20th in all 3 of those starts. So stay away from Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski today. Easy don't have picks for your fantasy lineup. Next on the fantasy / NASCAR race predictions today will be the sleeper picks. These are 3 drivers that could have an outside chance to win today's race. If not, I'm guaranteeing a top 10 finish for them. And we're going to start off with the front row cars. And yes, I said cars, plural. I think that both Todd Gilliland and Michael McDowell could have strong days today. I'm definitely adamant about Michael McDowell. I'm considering him to potentially win today's race. I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. I haven't picked who I want to win this race quite at this moment, but he is definitely up there in contention, so I'll talk about him first. Qualified 4th and was actually fastest in practice yesterday. McDowell has finished 12th or better in the 3 road course races this season. 7th place finishes in the last 2 races on road courses or street courses. So Chicago, he finished 7th and also finished 7th at Sonoma. Finished 12th at COTA, but ran top 10 for most of the day. Kind of faded in that final stage just a bit on those late race restarts, which were kind of similar to obviously what Indy has been in the past with turn 1. Now they have moved the Geico restart zone back for this race weekend, which I applaud NASCAR for, so that way we don't see guys going 5-6 wide into the first turn using each other up like they did at COTA this year, like they've done at Indy the last 2 years. So I don't think you're going to have as much chaos down in the first turn. As a result of that, I think the guys that qualified up at the front are going to have less of a chance of falling back in the field because of spins or something of that nature. So Michael McDowell, one of those drivers where you would expect him to run towards the front most of the day. I think he's going to keep his track position. Not having the stage cautions is going to help that as well, because he's not going to have to decide whether he wants to take points or not. He's one of the bubble drivers on the playoffs, so if there was a caution late in a stage, he would probably be one to end up pitting, so he doesn't have to pit under to take the stage points instead of not taking them. But because there's no guaranteed yellow there, he will race it out, and he'll be towards the front for most of this race, obviously, as long as he stays out of trouble. He finished in 8th place at Indianapolis on the road course last season, so he had a pretty solid run there, and he's having a much better year this year than last year, especially, again, on the road races. So very adamant about Michael McDowell. I think he's got an outside chance at the win this year. Honestly, if he goes to victory lane today, I would not be surprised. I think he's got a solid chance at least a top 3. Shane Van hang on, before I get to him, I got to talk about Todd Gilliland, the other front row car. I'm going to go out on the limb and say that Todd Gilliland is going to sneak into the top 10 at the end of the race today. I don't think I've ever pulled him for a top 10 pick all season. Honestly, I mean, considering he's 27 the points, you wouldn't go that deep in the standings and say, oh yeah, that guy's going to easily finish in the top 10. I don't think it's going to be an easy task. He was 3rd fastest in practice yesterday, same equipment as Michael McDowell as well, and has had good finishes on road courses with the next-gen car. He's finished in the top 15 in all 3 road course races, including 10th place at COTA earlier this year. And remember, last year at Indianapolis on the road course, he finished in 4th and ran top 10 all day. So this is a good track for him. I think that Todd Gilliland could have a pretty solid underdog day. I think his plus odds to get a top 10 finish are like plus like 300 or something. So that's a pretty good way to lean, because I think he's got a very good chance to get there. He qualified 23rd, so that does scare me a little bit. He does have speed, though. Again, he was 3rd fastest in practice. He probably just missed a line in one of the corners somewhere in his qualifying lap. And that's all it took from taking him in the top 10 to putting him back at 23rd. So it's going to take him a while to get up there. So that's why I say if he does get a top 10, he's going to sneak in late. But it's a long race, 82 laps. I think he's going to have a potential possibility of being able to do that. So going to go out on the limb and say Todd Gilliland sneaks in with the top 10 today as well. The driver that I kind of spoiled with my sleeper pick, because I almost talked about him too early, Shane Van Gisbergen. I think he's a lock for a top 10 finish today as well. Obviously, everybody saw what he did at the Chicago street race about a month ago now, and he is back for his 2nd ever NASCAR race. I don't think he's going to win today's race in particular. Again, I know he won his first race out. That's hard enough to win in your first try. To go 2 for 2 is absurd. I don't think anybody's ever done that. I mean, nobody had even gone 1 for 1 in the modern era, let alone 2 for 2. But even pre-modern era, I don't think anybody has ever done that. As for Shane Van Gisbergen, he qualified in 8th, 12th in practice. He's going to be solid this weekend. He's only going to get better throughout the course of the race, kind of similar to that of Chicago. Now, one thing with Chicago, he did qualify in the top 4, so that did help him a little bit stay towards the front of not only the field for the first 2 stages, but even when they had the field flip because of the shortening of the race with about 25, with what was eventually 50 laps to go, turned to 25 to go, and they had to pit. He was one of the first cars off of pit road because he had that track position from before, and that's why he was one of the few drivers, him and Reddick, that were actually able to charge through the field. And Reddick obviously got into a late incident, pushing it too hard. Shane Van Gisbergen did not. He kept his car clean, and he was able to make those passes with the fresh tires. As for today, he's got good track position. I expect him to stay top 10 throughout the course of the race. And like I said, I don't think he wins, but I think he gets another top 10 finish easily. I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if he gets another top 5. He might be in contention for the win late. Again, I think they'll be able to work on that car, get it better throughout the course of the race. He's going to get more comfortable, but this is a track that NASCAR has been to for 3 consecutive years now. So this isn't a new track for a lot of these guys, not only in the Cup Series, but with these cars running this race last year as well. So they just have more data to look off of than what Shane Van Gisbergen does have on his own merit at this racetrack. I don't even know if he's ran this configuration before at all in other motorsports series, so I would lean towards him having a solid day, but I don't think he goes 2 for 2 with victories. His teammate Daniel Suarez is on the pole today, so that's good for Trackhouse Racing as well. He's got good equipment, as we know that that team has good equipment for road courses. So sleeper picks again: Michael McDowell, Todd Gilliland, Shane Van Gisbergen. I've got top 10s for in today's race. As for the must-have picks, these are 3 drivers that you absolutely should have in your fantasy lineups. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're going to start off with probably the most obvious one, and I think that's going to be Tyler Reddick. Reddick has 3 wins with the next-gen car on road courses. One this season where he won at COTA earlier this year with this new team. He had speed over the summer months, but the pit crew's been shooting themselves in the foot. They've taken Reddick out of a shot to win 2 races in the last few weeks. Last week, of course, having the pit road issue with the loose wheel. Also had a loose wheel on the right rear tire at Nashville when he led the first half of that race. So they got to not make a mistake today. If they don't, he's going to be in the top 5 contending for the win all day. On top of those 3 wins, he's had 6 top 10 finishes in the 9 road course races with the next-gen car. It's the most of any driver in the Cup Series right now. So I definitely think that Tyler Reddick is good to go. He qualified 2nd, 15th in practice, so Toyotas were lacking a little bit in practice, but some of them picked up for qualifying on the speed charts, so I would look at Reddick as being one of the favorites to win. I think he's the favorite, according to Vegas, to win this race today. He's not my pick to win. I took him to win the last 2. Actually, I think I took him to win all 3 road races this year. He won COTA, and then he didn't win the last 2, so I'm not going to take him again because of those bad finishes. Pit crew again, did not help him out. He messed up at Chicago. That was on him. He overdrove the car, got into the wall because he was beating SVG, getting through the field until he made that mistake. And knowing SVG got to the lead, you would have to imagine Reddick would have gotten there first. So I would probably, again, look for Reddick to be in contention all day. I'm not going to pick him to win, though. Kyle Busch, I think, is a solid pick for a top 10. Easy top 10, maybe an outside chance at the win as well. Busch has been very good with the next-gen car, especially this season on road courses. His last 4 starts have all been top 5 finishes on road courses with the next-gen. Now, he has not won a road course race with the next-gen, so I'm not going to pick him to win this race today for that reason, but he has been very consistent. He's a solid start. Again, 4 straight top 5 finishes, 5th, 2nd, and 3rd. In those last 4 starts, rather. Qualified 5th today, so he starts towards the front of the field as well. He's going to keep that track position, similar to Reddick in practice, where he was 16th on the charts, picked up for qualifying. So I think KFB is going to have a solid day. He's kind of been struggling the last couple weeks, just trying to keep his car out of the wall. So as long as he does that today, should be fine. Should be easier for him to be able to do so, considering how little... I mean, there's little room for error on a road course. It's a lot more narrow, but if he goes wide and in the grass, he can save and get back on track, lose a couple positions. So he's fine. I don't think we'll have to worry about him crashing into a wall today. Mark my word. As I say that, he's going to get in an incident now just because I said something. Just because I was too specific with it. That's the problem. You set your standards, but the more specific and detail you get with predictions, the more likely you are to be wrong. So maybe I'm not going to be too good with that, but needless to say, I think Kyle Busch is going to have a good day. Don't listen to what I was saying after the fact. I think he'll have a solid day today. Chase Elliott is the last of the 3 must-have picks this weekend. He's the road course king in the NASCAR Cup Series, although I don't think he is with the next-gen car. I mentioned I think Tyler Reddick is the best driver with the next-gen, but this weekend, Chase Elliott, I think, has finally returned from a speed standpoint. He qualified 3rd. He has had good finishes in the 2 road course races he's ran this year. Remember, he missed COTA because he was still out with that leg injury from the snowboarding incident that he had at the beginning of the season. But he did finish in the top 5 in both road races he ran this year. Finished 5th at the Chicago Street Race, finished 3rd at the Chicago Street Race, and then finished 5th at Sonoma. So he's had good runs. Next-gen car, he's had good runs on road courses. He just hasn't won with this car yet. So that is why it is tough for me to pull the trigger on him to get the win today. But if I'm not taking Tyler Reddick, I got to pick somebody that's starting up towards the front. So I've been bouncing back and forth between taking Elliott or McDowell. McDowell's a riskier pick, obviously, because he's only got 1 career win, so he's never actually won a race on a road course, even though he's in contention all the time. The more you put yourself in contention, the more likely you are to finally break through and win. That's what happened with him on a super speedway. You'd have to imagine he's going to win a road course, especially with this car that he's been so quick on. But Chase Elliott is Chase Elliott when it comes to road courses. Even though he hasn't won with the next-gen car yet, he obviously has won many road course races in the Cup Series before that. I would probably lean towards him winning Watkins Glen more than this week because he has won at Watkins Glen multiple times before in the Cup Series, and he has never won at Indy, not only with the next gen, but even in 2021. He was fast, but he didn't look like he had the fastest car throughout the day, kind of ran like 3rd to 5th most of that race. I could see that being the case here today, too. But again, I don't want to take Reddick. I told myself don't take Reddick again because I've taken him the last 3 road races and it worked once, but the last 2 it didn't. I really don't know who to pick here. I'm really stuck between Elliott and McDowell. I mean that's I've gone through all my predictions, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm still talking about this. So I don't know. I have to pick somebody to win the race today, but I don't know who to pick between Elliott or McDowell. I've narrowed it down to 2. I usually don't go outside the box. That's the thing with my predictions, and that's probably why I've predicted so many races right this year, because I don't usually pick underdogs to win a specific race. Like, I looked at Buescher having good runs the last couple weeks, put him in the sleeper, but I wasn't going to pick him to win because he hasn't been proven to go to victory lane as often as some of these other drivers that I pick every week. Man, it's tough. It is tough. If McDowell wasn't fastest in practice, I think it would be an easy pick to take Elliott, but Elliott was a lot slower in practice than it picked up in qualifying. But they didn't have a long enough session like they would on ovals because of the limited practicing time. So there's no really lap averages you could look off of, you know, okay, he looks good on the short runs. We'll see how he is in the long runs. There wasn't a lot of tire fall off in last year's Indy Road Course race, so that's another reason why I think qualified is going to be important compared to some other road courses like Sonoma, very worn out surface. We saw a lot of tire fall off, so there was movement throughout the field in that race. I think you're going to see less of that today. More than what you saw at Chicago, but probably... Well, then again, there was a lot of movement at Chicago because of the rain. And the rain tires on for most of that race. So, oh, man. It's tough. I'm looking at the chat. Gonna go with Chase E? I don't know. I'm either taking Elliott or McDowell. Chase Elliott is gonna get it done today, says Christopher McComas. Brett Whiteside's also welcome to the stream. Esteban Tobar Souza, thanks for tuning in also. It's a Ryan Blaney hat, for sure. Not a Mayfield or a Newman. It's all current. Ryan Blaney guy. Fun fact, I had a cat named Newman when I was growing up. Named our cat after Ryan Newman. Had a Ryan Newman collar on it and everything. Bryce Oregon, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you said your last name correctly. SVG has run GT cars on this track. Yeah, I was wondering if he might have ran like an IMSA event here or not. I don't know if that was the case coming in, so I didn't want to say he did it and be wrong or something. Chris Davis, Harry T, welcome to the stream. Inside Uranus, welcome back as well. See if you hang on for that regular season championship in the Fantasy League these last couple weeks. Joe C, Gary Williams, also welcome to the stream. Howard Laney, thanks for tuning in. Got the dinger to win today. He didn't look as quick yesterday in qualifying and practice as what he has been on road courses so far this year. I was quite surprised. Both quality cars, for that matter, seemed a little off yesterday. The Hendrick cars look pretty quick. Like, Larson looked quick, too. Not just Chase Elliott yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if Larson was up in contention. You're stalling, make a pick. I don't know. Like, that's the problem. I have until the drop of the green flag to make my pick, and I might wait until the pace laps to make my pick because I don't know. Is any of them starting at the rear of the field? I saw Byron had to go to the back to start the race. If Chase Elliott has to go to the rear for the start of the race too, then I'm taking McDowell. But assuming they got through tech, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Look up some news. Yeah, William Byron's going to have to make a pass-through penalty at the start of the race. So he's not just starting at the back, but he's going to be like a half a lap behind everybody on the second lap when he comes back around to make that pass-through penalty. I mean, Elliott's in a must-win situation, I think, for the playoffs, too. Considering that he's chasing McDowell, and McDowell's, like, right there with him, he's not going to gain many points on him. That's why I feel like Elliott's going to have to win. That'd be an intense battle if McDowell and Elliott were the two battling for the win later, knowing the predicament. Like, if McDowell knows if Elliott wins, he's below the cutoff line even further. But if McDowell wins, obviously he's in, or if Elliott doesn't win, he'll be above the cutoff line, still survive another week. That'd be a fun battle if those two were going for the win with each other late. For the point situation. I don't see anything. I don't even see anything about Byron's. Oh, yeah, Byron's right here. I don't see anything about Elliott having to drop to the rear. Oh, man. I gotta think back. How have Hendrick Motorsports been on road courses this season? They haven't won any of the three. The only Chevy to win a road course race this year was SVG at Chicago. And then Truex won Sonoma, Reddick won Coda. I'm staying away from Toyota to win today. I think they'll be fast, but I'm not taking Reddick. Like, the obvious choice would probably be to take Reddick, but I really don't want to do that again. Even if he looks like the favorite. I usually don't do this. And I'm going to go out on the limb here. But I'm going to take... I don't know. Oh, jeez. This is tough, man. This is tough. I don't think I've ever debated this much back and forth. Usually I know who I'm picking to win the race, even if it's a toss-up. New winner, playoff chaos. Yeah, I think we have a good chance at that. Suarez is on the pole too, so I mean that's somebody I haven't really talked about, but I guess you could throw him in contention. Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like whoever I pick, I'm picking to win their first race this year. Just put all the Rick Ware cars in the fantasy today. Have a good feeling, but yeah. I don't know. I know Jenson Button's in the 15, but he is starting deep in the field. Alan C. Crow, thanks for tuning in. Big E, welcome. What a wuss. I am very. Fastboy99, thanks for tuning in. Very much a wuss. Biggest wuss on this side of the Mississippi. 100 degrees on its way to 107. Where you're at? Yeah, there's been some heat in Texas the last few weeks. Scorcher for sure. It'll be hot in those race cars today. I think it's supposed to be mid to upper 80s in Indy. No rain in the forecast, so. Granted, they can race in the rain. They just can't race when there's lightning. Race Sparky388, thanks for tuning in also. Well, I'm waiting to make my race win prediction so I don't stall too much time and run out of time here. We'll take a look at those point standings coming into the race today. Martin Truex Jr. has opened up a pretty big gap for that regular season title lead. He hasn't clinched it yet. If he does have an off performance today, somebody might have a chance, but I don't see Denny Hamlin being the guy to catch Truex considering how bad Hamlin has been on road courses with the next-gen car. I mentioned he hasn't even had a top 10 in the 9 races we've had with the next-gen car on a road course, so considering I don't think he's going to run good these next 2 weeks, I think Truex is pretty much a lock for the regular season title. But mathematically speaking, Hamlin is within 57 points back, so he's still within a race worth of points behind him, even though it's a pretty significant gap that Truex has built over these last couple of months. Byron was right there with them. They were going back and forth week for week as far as the point standings went, but then Truex rattled off a couple more wins in the last few races, and he's really pulled away from Byron, who has had 2 off weeks now back-to-back. He wrecked out at Michigan last week, and then the week before that, I think he had some issues as well. It finished outside the top 10 at Pocono, if I remember correctly. He led a lot of laps, scored a lot of stage points, and then they were kind of back in traffic on that late strategy at the end, and he didn't get a top 10 out of it, so he lost points there when Truex finished with a win. Hamlin got the win. Truex did end up with a top 5, I believe, that day, though. So, yeah, I'd pretty much say Truex is a lock to win the regular season title, which is huge. I mean, he looks like the championship favorite based off of speed alone over the summer months. Now you add in the fact that he's going to have an additional 15 playoff points to the 3 wins and 5 stage wins he's had already this year. My goodness, I mean, he's had 20 playoff points already. 15, that would give him 35. That's not to mention if he goes out there and wins, one of these next couple races as well, because he is good on road courses. He's won at Watkins Glen a couple times before. I wouldn't be surprised if he won again next week if he shows speed. I don't think he's going to win this weekend, but, we'll see. So that is that. As for the drivers who are locked into the playoffs with wins, William Byron's still sitting with the most wins this year as he has 4. Martin Truex Jr. with 3. I know he won the Clash, but it's a non-points race, so 3 race wins. And then the drivers, Kyle Busch also has 3 wins this year, although he got his first 3 in the first 13 races, hasn't won in the last 10, and has fallen actually back to 9th in the regular season standings. So looking to pick that up here. He's got spots he can gain. I mean, he's only 28 points behind 4th, so even though he's 9th, it's very tight there, and playoff points are still awarded throughout the top 10 at the end of the regular season, so it is going to be very big on him to get some good finishes. He's been good on road courses with this car, 4 straight top 5s, so he's got a very good chance these next 2 weeks to move up, and he's been fast on super speedways this year too. He won at Talladega, almost won the Daytona 500, and had a top 5 at Atlanta, so yeah, I think Busch is going to make a charge here late, and but I think he'll definitely get into the top 5. He may have a shot if Byron has an off performance today, which he's starting, basically a half a lap almost behind the field once he makes that pass-through penalty. So, I mean, there's a chance that he could get up to 3rd in the regular season standings. To say he's going to catch Hamlin, considering he's 93 points behind him with only 3 races left, it's not likely, but if Hamlin finishes outside the top 20 with no stage points these next couple weeks on a road course, where I would not be surprised if he does that, I mean, maybe Kyle Busch has a chance to get up to 2nd still, but I think the speed that Busch has showed recently would say otherwise, even though the stats have proved these next 3 tracks have been will be very good for him to come. But anyway, points, wins, playoffs. Byron 4 wins, Truex, Kyle Busch with 3 wins, 2 wins on the season for Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Chris Buescher now, obviously with winning back-to-back, so that's huge for Buescher, sneaking in late. And then the drivers with 1 win this season would include Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So those drivers all locked in. 12 drivers are locked. 4 drivers can lock in on points, so mathematically we will not have 16 or more different winners, so there will be at least 1 spot to be guaranteed on points. Right now, Kevin Harvick, who's 5th in the regular season standings, has 180 points above the cutoff line. He's actually 3 full races ahead of the cutoff line coming into today's race. It's the 3rd to last race of the regular season, so there's a chance that Harvick could actually lock himself in on points after today's race if he has a solid day and Bubba Wallace does not, because he's going to have to be ahead of 15th by quite a significant amount of points if he's going to clinch today, but it's not impossible. Brad Keselowski, who's 8th in the regular season standings, would be 14th on the playoff grid as he's plus 168 points, almost 3 full races ahead. It gets tighter, though, after that. We mentioned Bubba Wallace is 15th in the standings right now, plus 58 points ahead of the cutoff line. So looking at Wallace to more than likely make it on points, but if we get more than 1 different winner late in this regular season, which I think there's a good chance we can get a new winner today. So if we get a new winner today and then at Daytona in the regular season finale, then Wallace would actually be below the cutoff line, and he's 110 points behind Keselowski, so that's going to be tough to make up in 3 races. So he's doing good for himself. He just basically has to hope that we don't get 2 different winners in these last 3 races, and he'll be all right. Very tight gap for that last spot, though. Right now, Ty Gibbs has the final spot, plus 3 points in his rookie season, and he has Michael McDowell, minus 3 points, hot on his heels. Might have a shot to win today's race, honestly. Daniel Suarez sits on the pole today, might have a shot to win. He's only 5 points behind Ty Gibbs, so it is going to be a fun race today to watch that points battle between those 3. Don't count AJ Allmendinger out of it. He's won here before in the Cup Series just 2 years ago. Although he looks off on speed this weekend compared to those other 3, he's only minus 24 points. He could still get in there. Alex Bowman probably going to have to win considering how many drivers he's got between himself and the cutoff line, and he's minus 44 points. Austin Cindric minus 53. He's a good road course racer, but this year on road courses, for whatever reason, Penske's been off even Cindric, so I'd probably write him off as potentially winning these last couple races. He might have a shot at Daytona. I mean, he's won there. He finished 1st and 2nd in both Daytona races last year, and Fords have been really good on super speedway, so I mean, if you were to win a race, I would probably say Daytona would be the best bet for Cindric. Chase Elliott looks fast. He's 55 points back. I think that's makeable considering how good he looks this week. If he runs top 5, scores a lot of stage points this week and next week, you would think he'd be able to close that gap on points down quite a bit, even if he doesn't win. The problem is, as I mentioned in our pre-race predictions, Michael McDowell is right there behind. They literally both started row 2. So even if Elliott scores a lot of points, Michael McDowell's probably going to score a lot of points too, and he's 55 points behind him. He's not going to get that much. I mean, he may be lucky to beat him by 5 to 10 points the next 2 weeks, and then he's still sitting 30 back going into Daytona, and that's not looking very likely. So, yeah, I would pretty much say Chase Elliott is going to have to win a race. He's going to have a good shot to do it today, though. I think he looks really quick. I may pick him to win the race. Still haven't made my pick yet between him and McDowell, but he's got a very good chance today for you Chase Elliott fans out there. I would not be shocked if he goes to victory lane based off the speed he's got this weekend. So that is the point standings coming in. And I believe we are getting very, very close to the drop of the green flag here. I don't even have the race coverage on my phone yet. Is Hulu working yet? Does anybody know? I haven't been on Hulu at all today. About to find out. We were having issues with it yesterday. I might have to go onto the NBC Sports app. They are on the grid right now. I got to make my pick. I'm going to go Chase Elliott. Man, if Michael McDowell wins this race, I could have said that I called it, but I can't anymore because I'm not taking him. I have to make my late pick. I'm going to take Chase Elliott to win today's race. Taking Chase. So we've gone through the points, we've gone through the pre-race predictions, and as we're just moments away from the drop of the green flag, the one thing we have to go through now is our starting lineup for today's Verizon 200 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. Daniel Suarez on the pole for Trackhouse Racing today, trying to get his second career win, his first on the road course at Sonoma a season ago, trying to get into the playoffs as he's below the cutoff line at the drop of the green flag. Tyler Reddick is on the outside of the front row, won at COTA this season, 3 times a winner on a road course in the last calendar year. Chase Elliott and Michael McDowell will be in row number 2. Elliott could be a favorite to win today's race. He's my pick now as of a couple seconds ago, and I think he's going to have a good shot at it. He is the most winningest driver in road courses in the NASCAR Cup Series today. Michael McDowell is on the outside of the front row, solid road course racer, top 12s in all 3 of them this season. Kyle Busch with 4 straight top 5 finishes on road courses will start on the inside of row 3. Kyle Larson, who is a 2-time road course winner of the Cup Series, both of them 3-time winner, on road courses in the Cup Series, will start on the outside of row 3 as well. Christopher Bell and Shane Van Gisbergen will be in row 4. We'll have to watch out for SVG as he's trying to go 2 for 2 in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Had a win at Chicago in his only career race just a month ago. Alex Bowman and Ty Gibbs will be in row 5. Gibbs comes in last driver above the cutoff line plus 3 points. And Alex Bowman in a must-win situation more than likely with starting good out towards the front of the field, as is most of the Hendrick cars today. Brody Kostecki and Martin Truex Jr. will be in row number 6. Truex won at Sonoma this season on a road course and leads the point standings. Brody Kostecki, that 33 car, going to be fun to watch him run today's race. He showed a lot of speed yesterday. He will be starting at the back of the field, though, so that may hurt him considering the fact that they had to make some unapproved adjustments there to that car following a wall scrape in his qualifying lap yesterday. Chase Briscoe, Corey LaJoie will be in row 7. Justin Haley, Ryan Blaney in row 8. Haley had a top 3 in the last road race, which came, of course, on the Chicago Street Course, where he finished runner-up in 2nd. Chris Buescher, who has won the last 2 races in the NASCAR Cup Series circuit, trying to go for 3 consecutive wins today. He'll be one to watch as he starts mid-pack on the inside of row 9. And Joey Logano, to his outside, has had some bad luck at this track the last couple of seasons, but looking to turn it around this afternoon. Bubba Wallace, who finished top 5 in Indy last year, will start on the inside of row 10 with Austin Cindric to his outside. Ross Chastain and Brad Keselowski will be in row number 6. Row number 11. I don't know why I said 6. I saw the number 6 on Keselowski. I think that's why I said row 6. Row number 11 is where Chastain and Keselowski start. Ty Gillen, Harrison Burt will be in row 12. Gillen, one of the sleeper picks in the predictions today. Look out for him. Denny Hamlin, AJ Allmendinger, starting deep in the field. AJ looked off yesterday in practice and qualifying, so we'll see if he can turn it around in this Cup race this afternoon. And Denny Hamlin still looking for his first top 10 in his 10th start now at the next-gen car on a road course. Austin Dillon and Kamui Kobayashi will be in row number 14. Look out for the 67 car. Didn't have a lot of speed yesterday, but still trying to get used to it. He's making his Cup debut today. Andy Lally and Ryan Preece will be in row 15. Jenson Button and Josh Bilicki will be in row 16. Button making his 4th start of the season all on road courses in the Cup Series, his 2nd with Rick Ware Racing. Eric Almirola and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to be in row number 17. Row 18, Ty Dillon and Eric Jones. Row 19 will be Mike Rockefeller filling in for Noah Gragson this weekend, who has stepped away from Legacy Motor Club earlier in the week following his suspension. Kevin Harvick deep in the field to the outside of Rockefeller in that row. William Byron rounds out the field starting at the back of the pack today. Had to make some unapproved adjustments, and because of the set adjustments that he made to the car after practice and qualifying yesterday afternoon, he is going to have to take a pace lap down pit road on that first time by the start-finish line, so he'll be almost a half a lap off of the leaders when we get started. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. We've got just over 100 people watching, still waiting the green flag drop for today's Verizon 200 at the Brickyard. Dark Crypto, Delbert Wilson, thanks for tuning in as well. Sharitha Cooper, welcome in. I'll put a quick poll up in the chat for who you think will win today's NASCAR Cup Series race at Indy. NASCAR Cup. We are going to put Chase Elliott in here because he's my pick. Put Tyler Reddick. We'll put Shane Van Gisbergen in here just to kind of throw some curveballs, and then obviously other will be your guys' potential options. We'll close that at the end of Stage 2 as we usually do. So again, end of Stage 2 is where we will close that poll. Alrighty. Ooh, a little bit delayed, it looks like, compared to our leaderboard right now. Pace car's just now coming into pit road on my screen, which means the field is entering the Geico restart zone prior to the entry of turn 14. Suarez gets the launch, goes right away. Easily is going to beat Reddick as they get to the start-finish line. Great launch for that 99. We are racing at Indianapolis for the NASCAR Cup Series for the Verizon 200. Reddick pulling down, trying to clear the 9 of Chase Elliott as well, down on the bottom, who stays side by side with Michael McDowell as they enter turn 1. Suarez easily clear. Elliott trying to hold the inside, has to be aggressive from the start, knowing his must-win situation. A little contact further back as they were 3 wide into the first turn, right around 7th place. Ty Gibbs may have made contact with another car on the racetrack. Looked like him and Shane Van Gisbergen fighting for the same spot. SVG going to make the pass for right now. Bowman trying to sneak to the inside. Couple cars are side by side into that chicane now. It's a very tough portion of the racetrack to go side by side. Everybody fighting for so many positions. A lot of blocks being made. And near contact again down that long straightaway between turns 6 and 7 in the middle of the pack. Still 3 wide as they go down into that corner. Haven't seen anybody go off track to this point. Great job by everybody keeping control. 15 laps in the opening stage for today's race at Indianapolis. 82 laps is the scheduled distance. More than likely a 2-stop race for fuel. Michael McDowell was able to get by Elliott for 3rd place on that initial start and is quickly going after Tyler Reddick for 2nd, not wasting any time. His job today is to beat the 9 car of Chase Elliott and make sure Elliott doesn't go to victory lane, at the very least, if Michael McDowell is not able to go to victory lane, to better his odds of trying to make the postseason. Opening lap will be led by the pole sitter Daniel Suarez. McDowell looking to the inside of Tyler Reddick. Reddick is going to close that gap down quite a bit on the inside lane into turn 1. A defensive line for sure to try to keep the 34 behind him. Truex making a pass on Chase Briscoe into turn 1. Having the outside lane through turn 2. This will give him the bottom through 3 and 4, which is where we saw a lot of passes made in yesterday's Xfinity race. I would say the same will probably be said for the Cup race today. One car goes around, and it's Kobayashi in the 67, who had gotten spun in turn 2. Loses a handful of positions, keeps his car rolling in the right direction. Oh, hard hit for Justin Haley into the turn 6 wall. As he smacks the tire wall, that's going to bring out a caution. He went wide off of the chicane, and I don't know if there was contact or not, but a heavy impact for Justin Haley, sliding wide. And we are under caution on lap 2. He was door-to-door with Joey Logano. Logano hit the curb and completely bounced into the 31 car. It looked like Logano lost control after hitting the curb, and door the 31 sent him sliding in the grass and then hard driver's side first into the tire barrier, which destroyed the front of Haley's race car. A lot of cleanup to be had in that area of the racetrack off of turn 6, and we will be under a caution for the first time. Contact between the 51 and the 67 caused Kobayashi to spin in turn 2. Andy Lally in the 51 car pulling double duty this weekend. Ran the Xfinity race yesterday and the Cup race today. Good news for Kobayashi. He can come down, get 4 fresh tires, and not lose a lap as he got that quick yellow with Haley getting into the wall. It looked like Haley was able to drive away from the incident, but obviously a lot of damage to that race car. Even if he's able to continue in the race, speed is going to be a lack thereof the rest of the way. So we are under caution. Justin Haley has crashed in turn 6. That's the risk of going side by side through the chicane. We didn't see many drivers doing that in the Xfinity race yesterday because it could cause wrecks. We saw that here on the first couple laps of the Cup race. Lap 1 they got through, lap 2 they did not. But yeah, that was definitely the curb that threw Logano's car into Haley. It wasn't like Logano just used Haley up. All 4 tires came up off the ground and Logano was basically hydroplaning his way over to Haley's car, but that's the risk you have of going side by side in that corner. And I don't know whose job it is to lift going in. You know, is it the guy that's going to have the inside in or the inside out? You know, it's just up to the drivers on how much they want to push it. And they were both willing to go side by side because nobody gave an inch, and that caused the incident. Logano's just lucky he didn't end up going with Haley. It seemed like he hit Haley's car and it straightened him out. Because if Haley wasn't there, when Joey Logano hit that curve, he was probably going to end up going out into the grass. So he was just kind of lucky that Haley was to his outside. No, it's not a penalty for Logano. As long as you get 4 tires above the curb, on the curb or above the curb, it's not a penalty. He didn't have 2 tires below the curb, so that's why it's not a corner cutting penalty. He had all 4 on the curb, which caused him to lose control and hit Haley. So that's why there's not going to be a penalty for Logano. Yeah, I mean, that was just hard racing. Unfortunate circumstance. And I'm not saying like hard racing meaning nobody was at fault. Hard racing meaning both drivers were at fault because nobody gave an inch and it's only lap 2. You know. We weren't guaranteed any yellows today, but we have our first one early. Yoshi Gaming, Easy E Network, Sonic Kicking Mario 1943, thanks for tuning in. Godzilla Legendary 2078, welcome back. Your Cobra, thanks for tuning into the stream. Lovey Barkley, thanks for tuning in. Normally I wouldn't pick the same person who won last year, but I think Reddick goes 2 for 2. I think there's a good chance of that. If Reddick didn't let me down picking him the last 2 road races, then I would probably have gone for Reddick, but yeah, we'll see. Kobayashi, the hot dog guy? No, not that guy. That's a different Kobayashi. It might be spelled the same, I'm not entirely sure. It's a much different Kobayashi. Logano definitely at fault, 100%. Haley was behind, not alongside. And they were side by side going into there. The fact is, they were definitely side by side going into there. I would not say Logano was 100% at fault, but obviously, you know, it's his car making contact with Haley. I chalk it up to hard racing. Too hard for both drivers on lap 2. It's too aggressive. And we do have our first comers onto pit road. Big caution for Byron, who had to make the pass-through penalty at the start of the race. Got a quick yellow that lap, and he's caught back up with the back of the field, so he might as well come down, make some more adjustments, and we'll see what Willie B can do coming from the back this time around. Our goal is 150 likes for today's NASCAR Cup stream, so let's make sure we run that like button up. And again, welcome to any new viewers watching. Be sure to subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. Big week on the channel already for viewership for this weekend's races. Our Truck Series race was our second most watched truck race on the channel this season, only behind the season opener at Daytona. And the last road course, Chicago, was our second most watched NASCAR race, only behind the 500. So expecting more people to show up throughout the course of today's stream. Appreciate all new and returning viewers. If it wasn't for you guys watching, hitting that like button, subscribing every single week, I probably wouldn't be able to be here every weekend to be able to do this for you guys, with you guys, and have a lot of fun watching the races through you guys, the fans, throughout the course of the week, or with you guys, the fans, throughout the course of the week. So Daniel Swartz has led the opening laps of the race. Obviously, everybody at the front portion of the field staying out, maintaining track position. Those that pitted pretty much back half of the field, 25th on back. I don't even know if all those cars came into pit road, but quite a few of them did. So positions definitely not changing a whole lot there off the start. Didn't notice any major gainers or losers throughout the field. So nobody else really had an incident other than Kobayashi, but Kobayashi started, I think, 27th anyway, so he only lost 8 positions out of that spin. Could have been worse if he was further towards the front of the field, and good news is he still got a long race to get back into this with the caution coming out immediately after his spin. Not for the spin, but something else that happened immediately after. Got to be aggressive these days. Can take every spot when he can. Yeah, but I just don't like how that happened on lap 2. You could see the aggression from the start when they made their way off turn 6 and that long straightaway shoot between 6 and 7 on that opening lap. I mean, there were a lot of guys cutting guys off. I thought somebody was going to get turned, honestly. Surprised it didn't happen a lap sooner. I thought by the time they went through the next time by that they would be a little more spaced out. We weren't going to have to worry about that. So that's going to be an interesting spot to watch. And it's also going to be interesting to see how these guys take that corner this time around, knowing that side-by-side didn't work. I didn't think it was going to work. I mentioned yesterday in the Xfinity race, they go through there. There's a high risk of wrecking. It's the tightest corner in the racetrack, and we saw that here today and instead. And yeah, we'll see. Didn't they use their lesson not to use the name curves for 2021? You would think. The only Japanese names I know how to spell without using any sort of spell check, they're either players in the major leagues now, so I see their name often enough, or it's like a short name, like a 3 or 4 letter last name. Those are the only ones. I could probably give it a guess. I mean, I have it right in front of me because I can see it, so that's kind of cheating, but I didn't realize Mike Rockenfeller was from Germany. That last name, I would have automatically assumed he was from Great Britain or something. Field is doubled up already. They'll be going green this time by. Daniel Suarez on the inside lane for row 1 once again. He timed his restart out beautifully the first time around. We'll see if Reddick learned anything to try to stay alongside Suarez this go around. And hopefully we don't see any more incidences following this restart and get some racing in here. Truck's going to be CW next year. The only thing guaranteed is the Xfinity Series will be on CW, and not next season. It'll be 2025 through 2033, I think, or 32 is a 7-year deal. All right, well, they're ripping through turn 14. Green flag back in the air. Another great restart for Suarez. Not as good as the last one, but he is going to slide up clear of Reddick off the exit of that corner. Cuts down to the bottom, which is going to help Michael McDowell in the draft as he tries to pull alongside Reddick into turn 2. Looking, going for it. Joey Logano hard and into the back of his teammate Austin Cindric into the first turn. He locked the brakes up. He was sliding before he even got into the 2, and once he started sliding, he couldn't stop, and Joey Logano with a pitiful start to this race has gone around contact with another car. I believe it was his teammate Austin Cindric he got into the back of. Cindric was able to keep going in the right direction somehow, but Joey Logano was not. Michael McDowell did make the pass for second on Tyler Reddick. Door-to-door for fifth between the two Kyles, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch. Through the S's, door-to-door. Busch slides the rear tires a little bit. Larson, more control of his race car, allows him to clear the 8 for fifth and trying to catch up to the 4 cars that are breaking away in front of him. McDowell looking to the inside now on Daniel Suarez. He's wasting no time into turn 12, going for the lead. Is he managing tires well enough, going as hard early now in these opening laps as he has? We'll have to wait and see over the course of the long run, but for right now, it is Michael McDowell out in front through turn 14 as he clears Daniel Suarez. Suarez very close behind still. We'll see if he's going to try to pounce into turn 1. McDowell going down low to protect that inside line. He'll give Suarez the top. Suarez now cuts even lower to the bottom, fakes. Now he's playing a defensive line on Reddick, who's close behind in third. Truex trying to make his way through the field as he's gotten a couple passes over the last couple laps, moving up to 11th. And working by Ryan Blaney, it looks like, in the 12 car. So McDowell leads. Headed to turn 7. Reddick still trying to get by Suarez for second. McDowell looking super fast early. Fastest in practice yesterday. Qualified 4th. And maybe looking like a contender for today's race. It was a coin flip. It really was, between picking Elliott or McDowell, as you saw in our pre-race coverage. He couldn't decide, and I just went with Elliott. I'm not one for picking against the odds. And, I mean, neither one of them are the odds-on favorite to win the race, but I had more confidence in Chase. Still early. And if it comes down to pit strategy, I would like to think I would trust Alan Gustafson more than the 34, but McDowell's pacing right now is ridiculously fast compared to everybody else at the front of the field that is close behind him. That last lap, he was the only driver to run an 89-second lap time, 89.784. That was 7/10 quicker than Daniel Suarez. Ty Gibbs got spun. It looked like off of Ross Chastain's front bumper. Tough break for Gibbs, who was in the top 10 on that last restart. Now he's back at 27th before he was able to get himself going in the right direction again. That car Logano hit as well off the start was actually Ryan Blaney, not Austin Cindric. Cindric is in the discount tire colors today. Blaney in the neon 12. It didn't look like there was any damage on Blaney's car when they showed his car on camera a lap or two ago as they were working around the racetrack. Gibbs trying to get those spots that he had lost after that spin in turn 1 the last lap as he's side by side with Kevin Harvick through the S's. Harvick going to let the 54 go. Veteran move by the 4. Interesting Mobile 1 paint scheme Kevin Harvick's got on his car this race weekend. Got the wings, the red wings on the side of the side panel of the 4. 8 laps to go already in stage 1. This first stage is the shortest of the 3. Again, only 15 laps. Easily within the first fuel window of the race. Michael McDowell picking up even more that last lap, dropped an 89.584. Now, Daniel Suarez also picked up. He was a 10th quicker than McDowell the last lap, an 89.470. So McDowell, who was the only one, the 89-second lap time the lap before, not that time around. And now Kobayashi is off track again, this time in turn 1. He got spun in turn 2 earlier. That time he overcooked it into the first turn, was off into the grass, and loses a few positions that he gained on that last restart. Cut to the inside, past 2 cars, and just brake way too late. And the 3 cars that he passed going into the corner got back around him, so I guess he technically didn't lose any positions. He went in so fast that he ended up giving up what he would have gained getting in anyway. And no penalty, obviously, because he went into the grass and wide and not through a shortcut of the corner. Kobayashi getting back by William Byron. Joey Logano with what you would think would have significant damage considering how hard he hit the back of Blaney's car. But Blaney's car looked all right, so Logano's may be fine as well as he sits in 35th. Justin Haley still in the race following his incident, but is 1 lap down, the only driver not on the lead lap. And might be off the pace on speed considering the damage, of course, as well. Most of the field single file on the main straightaway. Down into turn 1, Chase Elliott closing a bit on Tyler Reddick in the braking zone there. Alex Bowman looking for a pass on Shane Van Gisbergen. A little bit of contact between the two. Bowman couldn't stay alongside SVG in the 91. And Van Gisbergen will hold on to 8th. Puts the little bumper to the right rear of Van Gisbergen. Gets to the inside, turn 5. And into turn 6, they're going to be clear. Bowman gets around Shane Van Gisbergen, but Van Gisbergen got through the chicane a little bit better than Bowman. Was able to stay in the draft, but as he looked to pull to the inside, the 14 of Chase Briscoe was already there, and Briscoe is actually going to make the pass now on the 91 car instead. So SVG losing 2 positions that last lap, and he'll fall to 10th. And he's got points leader Mark Truex Jr. now hot on his heels. Replay of Logano getting into the back of Blaney on that last restart. Everybody else able to miss around the spinning 22 car, and we're under a commercial break for the first time in today's race on lap 10. Michael McDowell leads by 0.4 of a second over Daniel Suarez, who's starting to reel the 34 back in again. Tyler Reddick is in 3rd, Chase Elliott 4th, Kyle Larson 5th, Kyle Busch in 6th, Christopher Bell 7th, Alex Bowman 8th, Chase Briscoe 9th, and Shane Van Gisbergen is in 10th. Martin Truex Jr. in 11th, Ryan Blaney 12th, Chris Buescher 13th, Bubba Wallace 14th, Austin Cindric 15th, Ty Gilliland in 16th, AJ Allmendinger 17th, 18th is Corey LaJoie, 19th Harrison Burton, and Austin Dillon is 20th. 21st, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin 22nd, Jenson Button 23rd, Eric Jones 24th, Andy Lally is 25th, Ty Gibbs 26th, Josh Bilicki 27th, Kevin Harvick 28th, Brad Keselowski 29th, Brody Kostecki is in 30th. 31st, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Mike Rockefeller is in 32nd. 33rd, William Byron, Kamui Kobayashi in 34th. Joey Logano at 35th, Ty Dillon 36th, Eric Almirola 37th, Ryan Preece 38th, and Justin Haley 39th. Again, the only car 1 lap down following that lap 2 incident. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you guys have not done so yet, and also vote for who you think will win today's race in the voting poll right now that is open in the chat. That poll will close at the end of stage 2. Your voting poll choices: Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Shane Van Gisbergen, and the other at 35% of the votes is leading the poll right now. Elliott 26%, SVG 24%, Reddick at 15%. So McDowell set the pace here early. Suarez in 2nd. Maybe the reason for people picking other, but a pretty tight poll nonetheless between 3 of the 4. Really all 4 are fairly close to one another, and that'll be interesting to see who will win that by the end of stage 2. Waiting for them to come back from the commercial break right now, so we'll take a first break of our own. You're listening live to the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard on KRC. Last lap, Michael McDowell a little bit quicker than Daniel Suarez, who was faster the 2 laps before McDowell. And again, not seeing much fall off right now. McDowell's fastest lap, 0.3 of a second quicker than what he's at right now. And we have had probably 6 or 7 green flag laps ran thus far. 4 laps to go currently in stage 1.
Spa, your ultimate pit stop on the Las Vegas Strip. South Point, everything you want, all under one roof. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series Verizon 200 at the Brickyard. Take a look at a little contact being made between a couple drivers, including Andy Lally and Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, Andy Lally and Ty Gibbs are going at it. And this went on for quite a while. Ty giving it to the 51 just a little bit. Then this is down the front straightaway. More contact. Andy Lally says, no, I don't like it. Now Ty Gibbs got to try to pass him all over again. Finally does it. That's going on, though, all through the field. Maybe not to that extent, but been pretty crazy.
Ty dominated the Xfinity race yesterday and won it. See Kevin Harvick hitting pit road. Kim.
And crew chief Rodney Childers told me their only option today, because of how bad they qualified, was to do something completely different strategy-wise. And for them, that is being one of the first ones to make a stop under green. He said he has good drive off, still needs a little bit more turn. That was the same issue they had throughout practice. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel with a slight air pressure adjustment on those Goodyears.
Strategy at road course racing is a little different than ovals because you can pit like Kevin Harvick is here with no fear of losing a lap. So the concept is come in, fill up, and put tires on. In case a yellow comes out, if everybody else has to come to pit road, you can leapfrog them. So you kind of run the race backwards. This is aggressive for sure, a little outside their fuel window, but I agree with what crew chief Rodney Childers said. Hey, when you have no track position, you have to do something different. Now McDowell on board with Suarez chasing McDowell. I expect these two to at least run to that magical lap 15, which would be the end of stage 1.
Yeah, Steve, I think that first caution, or the first 2 cautions, I should say, bought everybody a little bit more time, so they may extend that first window. But yes, the window open right now, and it should just be a 2-stop race for all the cars and crew chiefs and pit crews as well, Steve. So how has no cautions at the end of the stages really changed the game on road courses?
Well, when you know there's a caution, it's really just a decision whether you take track position or the points. Now, not knowing where the cautions are, you have to really kind of call it a little old school. You want to pit nice and early in case a yellow comes out, but if you pit too early, you either put yourself in a fuel situation or you have old tires on and you slip and slide for the cars on fresher tires.
And want to take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap. It's Daniel Suarez, who had won the pole on lap 10. He turned the fastest lap of anyone, and Suarez right now running in the 2nd spot. But an average of over 98 miles per hour around this 14-turn, just under 2.5-mile road course.
Saw William Byron had to serve a penalty at the start of the race in the back of the pack, trying to work himself up through, and you can see that very narrow part of the racetrack. In 5 and 6, contact with the 78 car of Josh Bilicki. A lot of aggression early in this race.
It does seem like there is a lot of intensity early in this race as well. We see McDowell still about 3-4 car lengths in front of Suarez. Dave.
Shane Van Gisbergen in 10th place now. He does not have a perfect race car. Listen to these 2 radio transmissions.
The throttle pedal's a little bit sticky at the moment too. On throttle crack, it's quite hard to push, and then it cracks forward to 10%, so hopefully that doesn't hurt the tires too much. If it starts getting worse, make sure you let us know. I'm struggling with the rear, so no rear, and the throttle pedal's making the initial drive very hard.
Getting the initial drive very hard. Sticky throttle pedal. Drivers, how bad is that on a road course?
Dave, other cars coming down pit road. You see Ryan Blaney, who's really said nothing of the contact with his teammate Joey Logano on the track. Here's the benefit of doing this, Steve. There's 1 lap to go in the stage, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. You're going to pit first, get those tires on before everybody else. The bad side of that Elliott, all those guys will get, but Jonathan Hassler making the call to bring Ryan Blaney down pit road.
It's a different, we talk about agendas. Ryan Blaney, he's won a race, so he knows he's moving forward in the playoffs. He's concerned about trying to win this race. We see Joey Logano joining his Penske teammate of Ryan Blaney on pit road. The battle up top for this race or stage win. Suarez is continuing to put the pressure on McDowell, not letting this be an easy cruise.
And staying within a couple seconds is Chase Elliott, the man who absolutely needs a win to make the playoffs. He's making a good run for it this early in the race. Good speed in the 9-car.
Monumental start for Front Row Motorsports. This will be the first ever stage win for Front Row Motorsports, as well as the first stage win for Michael McDowell. So a big stage win there, and again, there won't be a caution, but he will get the 10 points for winning the stage and a playoff point.
Yeah, big for that team where they are.
So your stage 1 results, Michael McDowell wins this first stage. Daniel Suarez ends up 2nd. Chase Elliott 3rd. Tyler Reddick 4th. Kyle Larson 5th. Kyle Busch 6th. Christopher Bell 7th. Alex Bowman 8th. Shane Van Gisbergen 9th. And Martin Truex Jr. finishes 10th, all receiving stage points at lap 15.
And Elliott, all these cars that had track position to start the race, holding on to it.
To wrap up what Dave was talking about with Shane Van Gisbergen, the throttle is hard to mash, and when he does mash it, it ends up going too far. It's hard to push, but when it does engage, he's getting more, say if he wants to mash it 20% and just kind of barely get into the throttle, it's going to 40 or going to 50 and spinning and hurting the rear tires. So that's going to be tough to fix. I don't think they can fix it. So he'll have to deal with that all day long, Marty.
Couple cars on pit road. Chris Buescher back-to-back wins and struggling so far today. As predicted, car a little bit too free for Buescher. No stage points there in stage 1, but a pretty significant adjustment trying to tighten up the car for Chris Buescher. And I think pit road is about to get very busy, guys.
As we see the leaders stay on the racetrack, Chase chases them as well, but it's a split. Reddick comes to pit road as well. So the concern with staying on the racetrack is if a yellow comes out, anyone who has pitted is not going to pit again. So if you have to pit under the yellow, then you instantly give up your track position. And normally we see everybody kind of pitting a 1 or 2 lap window. This is very interesting, right? This now basically been a 5 or 6 lap window of cars trickling 2 or 3 cars at a time onto pit road.
Reddick slow on pit road all the way down to his pit stall. Allmendinger as well. Stuckey and Byron all on pit road. Marty.
Yeah, this is interesting with these wide windows, Steve. It's going to be interesting to see where all these guys blend back out. A.J. Allmendinger saying lateral grip is okay in his car. He's on the bottom of the screen. He needs more front turn. Kind of the opposite for Tyler Reddick, saying the car just way too free. Billy Scott told his crew after their rough pit stop at the end of the race at Michigan, hey, just slow down this weekend. We have a good car. Let's just have simple stops, Dave.
Here's something Brody Kostecki has never done. Live pit stops in NASCAR. He hit his marks perfectly. He'll get 4 Goodyear tires at Sunoco fuel. Also, William Byron in the 24 is on pit road, and he'll be leaving again with a full tank of Sunoco fuel.
And McDowell still has to come to pit road. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series, Verizon 200 at the Brickyard.
We'll take another running order rundown here as we are still cycling through green flag pit stops. As of right now, Michael McDowell just came into the pits from the lead, so Chase Elliott is out in front. Kyle Busch is in 2nd. Christopher Bell 3rd. Shane Van Gisbergen 4th. Martin Truex Jr. in 5th. Daniel Suarez 6th. Bubba Wallace 7th. Kyle Larson in 8th. Michael McDowell 9th. Alex Bowman in 10th. Tyler Reddick is 11th. Corey LaJoie in 12th. 13th is Austin Dillon. 14th, Ross Chastain. Denny Hamlin in 15th. 16th place is going to be Brad Keselowski. Josh Bilicki 17th. Kamui Kobayashi 18th. Ty Dillon 19th. Ty Gibbs 20th. Mike Rockefeller in 21st, Ross Chastain 22nd, Tyler Reddick 23rd, Chase Briscoe 24th, Ryan Blaney 25th, Chris Buescher in 26th. 27th, Austin Cindric, A.J. Allmendinger 28th, Eric Almirola 29th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 30th, Brody Kostecki in 31st, William Byron 32nd, Ryan Preece 33rd, Ty Gillen 34th, Kevin Harvick 35th, Andy Lally 36th, Joey Logano 37th, Jensen Button 38th, and Justin Haley is in last, currently 39th. 18 laps to go, stage 2. The second stage, I believe, is 20 laps. The first stage was 15, so that means stage 3 will go from laps 36 to 82 to the end of the race. Just that one caution for incident back on lap 2 to this point, so the average race speed is up to a 79.82 miles per hour and growing with every lap. Christopher Bell now in the lead as Chase Elliott just pitted that last time by. Or I should say is on his way to pit road right now. Kyle Busch also going to follow him into the pits as Bell and SVG stay out on the racetrack. Maybe trying to run this opening run a little bit longer. I mean, these guys can go almost 30 laps on a full tank of gas. So all of them that are pitting right now here just before and just after the stage end to stage 1, that's just the window to make it on 2 stops to the end of the race. Some of these guys could run long in this first stint, and that seems to be the case for quite a few teams. You look back to guys that have already cycled well off of pit road, like Tyler Reddick in 23rd. I mean, that's pretty deep in the field. Michael McDowell, 16th. He was leading when he came in. Daniel Suarez is 12th, so Suarez has actually cycled ahead of McDowell through the green flag pit stops. It'll be interesting to see where Chase Elliott will blend, as he was only about 2 seconds behind McDowell, but McDowell has had fresher tires for about 3 laps or so. Although the fall-off hasn't really been much anyway. Fastest laps of the race right now from what McDowell was running was only 0.8 of a second slower than what his fastest lap of the race was. So I don't see too much fall-off, although 0.8 of a second is still quite a bit when you're pitting 3 to 4 laps after somebody. So, yeah, again, we'll see. They're back from the commercial break. I'll let you listen in to more of the NBC broadcast.
Throughout the race, you can adjust your picks until the end of stage 2 to maximize your score. Visit NASCAR.com/fantasy, where you can select the fantasy icon on the mobile app leaderboard to make in-race changes. So a lot of drivers making their way onto pit road, cycling through, and there's a lot of road to be gained when you come onto pit road.
Well, right here, you see Suarez and McDowell. They're flipped. McDowell was leading, and now battle between the 9 and the 5. The 9 ran a couple laps longer, and I think ended up costing a little time to Larson. This wasn't really that close before the green flag cycle.
I was interested to see that 5 car trying that pass in the braking zone on the outside. If he could position himself on the right side of the 9 for the next few corners, he might have been able to take the spot away. But right now, it's like the 5 of Larson just a little bit quicker than Chase.
So if you go back to who we think is going to be the leader of the race through the cycle, it was McDowell at the beginning. Well, coming to pit road speed, there's an access road, but pit road speed does not start until the yellow line. Look at how conservative the 34 slows down. Bravo, Daniel Suarez. Look how much is gained.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity right here. Daniel takes every bit of it. You can see his car was out of control. And then look what happens at the end of pit road. That little bit of gain by Suarez and a little bit quicker stop, and they take the lead away from McDowell.
When pit stops cycle through, there are still 11 that are in front of those 2 that have not come to pit road under this most recent cycle of pit stops.
And that was, remember, that was what McDowell told me his concern was being able to run the race and execute everything perfectly. And that was not just on the pit crew. That was on him as well. There was more for him to get on pit road. Suarez did better. He lost the spot.
Yeah, and a couple guys getting speeding penalties, and 2 of them kind of famous in the fact that Jensen Button, he normally pushes a button when he comes onto pit road, so he doesn't have to worry normally about speeding. They got a speeding penalty. So did Mike Rockenfeller in the 42, as well as the 7 of Corey LaJoie, all caught for speeding on pit road. Marty.
Chase Elliott has already pitted. You saw that a moment ago. And at the end of that run, Chase Elliott was the fastest car. So Alan Gustafson, Steve, made the call to leave him out 1 lap longer. Do you think that benefited the 9 to stay out there and run 1 more lap in clean traffic?
Looking at the racetrack, no. I think it cost the 9 time. I think the cars that came in and pitted earlier actually had a little bit more efficient stops, using the 5 as Larson as the example. The 9 had a little bit of space to Larson, and now Larson is only a few car lengths behind him.
Chase Elliott's about 2 seconds now behind McDowell, and they were a lot closer when pit stop cycle started.
The most important thing is he came from 30, still third, a little bit of time on track. You expect there's going to be a yellow at some point. It's more, don't make a mistake. You listed those 3 drivers that were caught speeding. I mean, that just puts you so far behind for the rest of the day.
Again, a reminder, right now, the top 7 still have not come to pit road at all. Then 8th, 9th, and 10th, they came on lap 3 and lap 4 when the caution was out. They still have to come. And Steve, how far can you go on a tank of fuel?
So we know they can go 30 to 32 pretty comfortably. We had a few pace laps, 3 of them. But I also think that the teams are holding that fuel mileage pretty close to the vest. I think they could probably run a little further than 32 if they have to. I think it's just a play of being most efficient on tires, so I expect the leaders to pit somewhere around probably lap 25 or 26.
McDowell getting a little bit bigger in the mirror for Suarez in this braking zone at turn 11. As these two start to worry each other, they start to slow down just a little bit. The last lap on the racetrack, the 9 of Chase Elliott about 3/10 quicker. He's going to start to creep into this battle, as will the 5, and then also the fastest car on the racetrack the last time by, Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch right now running in the 15th position, but again, that's relative to the 10 drivers that still have yet to come to pit road. And these two, Suarez and McDowell, when they came in, they were just below that cut line of making it into the playoffs. And so there's the battle within the battle. Obviously, the potential for a race win locks you into the playoffs, but then every point matters in the big picture of getting into the playoffs.
Well, you can see how tight it is. Bubba Wallace, he stayed on the racetrack currently. He looks pretty good in the playoffs. Road courses have been a concern for him. McDowell, Suarez, we saw Gibbs had that trouble earlier. Allmendinger has not had the pace we normally see from him. But as we watch these two guys, the car that is getting closer to them is that 9 of Chase Elliott. He is actually faster than they are. He is starting to run them down.
See Martin Truex Jr. on pit road, so he will give up that 3rd spot. Kim.
And he was happy with the car yesterday in practice. Not the case today. Told the team he has no turn or drive off. Very hard to get the gas down. They will put air pressure adjustments on those 4 fresh Goodyear tires as you see the crew to the left side. Remember, left side first. These choreographies here, a little bit backwards. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. Marty for Martin Truex Jr.
Kim, on our pre-race show, Dale Earnhardt Jr. talked about how Bubba Wallace and his crew chief Booty Barker have been stockpiling points over the last few weeks. In fact, in the last 3 races, they have earned the 5th most points. And Booty told me this morning, I'm going to do the opposite of what everybody else does today just to try something. And no, road courses are not Bubba Wallace's strength, so leaving him out a little bit longer. Wallace will pit this time by, though. But he reminded me, hey, we finished 5th in this race last year. You never know what can happen.
I love this idea because you leave them out in some clear track. You're talking about, when we talk about strategy for the win, that's one thing. That's what the 99 and the 34 is doing. And I'm not saying Bubba Wallace cannot win, but he would tell you that this is just not his forte. He is learning the road courses. This is not his best stuff. His mindset coming in, very important. He's gained a bunch of points, over 30 points in the last 2 ovals. You can't give them all back at the first road course. That's really what this 23 car is doing, running a little long, trying to take some of the pressure off. Versus, look at this pressure-packed battle right here, right? Suarez and McDowell, they're thinking we could win. Chase Elliott right back there is thinking, I'm sick of top 5s at the road courses. I want to get a win.
Yeah, the fastest of these 3 cars has been Chase Elliott, as now we see Shane Van Gisbergen on pit road once again, Dave.
The Chicago Street Race winner is coming down pit road. His car is pretty good right now, except for that sticky throttle pedal issue. And he'll go for 4 tires and fuel here and see if he can get back into the mix. They liked his lap times a lot, Marty, right near the end of his run.
So they asked Bubba Wallace how the car was as he comes down pit road, and he said, I just need a little more lateral grip. So they'll lose about 49 seconds here on pit road. So that should put Bubba about 15. So a solid day so far for the 23. Exactly what they hoped for, exactly what they needed.
Well, fans, NASCAR and the Premier Partners want to thank you. Visit NASCAR.com/thankyou-fans to learn how you can win an exclusive diamond experience just for being a fan.
Heading to another commercial break, full screen right now in the middle of stage 2 of today's Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course race for the NASCAR Cup Series. They're running to the Verizon 200. As of right now, be sure to vote for who you think will win today's race. Make sure if you're in the Fantasy League to lock your fantasy lineups in before the end of Stage 2 as well, as we have 12 to go in this stage. Michael McDowell won Stage 1 in this race. The most laps led so far has been McDowell with 11 laps led. Christopher Bell is currently the leader as he has still not made a pit stop yet, so he's led the last 7 laps. Daniel Suarez led the first 5 before losing the lead to McDowell, and Chase Elliott led 1 lap before coming onto pit road during green flag pit stops. Also, top 4 for what will be the top 4 once the top, it looks like 6 cars still have to hit pit road yet. Daniel Suarez, as of right now, is the first of those that have already pitted, but Michael McDowell sitting right there at 8th, Chase Elliott in 9th, and Kyle Larson in 10th, all within 2 seconds of each other. So it is a tight battle between the 3 Chevys and the lone Ford. As for how the spotlight drivers are doing based off the pre-race predictions to this point in the early going, the must-have picks of Chase Elliott's in the top 10 and 9th. Tyler Reddick is in 12th, will be top 10 once the top 6 end up hitting pit road. And then also Kyle Busch right up there, right in front of Reddick in 11th. He will be, again, top 10 once everybody else pits. So those guys doing pretty well. As for the sleeper picks right now, Michael McDowell at 8th, contending for the win as I expected. Todd Gilliland is currently still deep in the field, it appears. 25th for Todd Gilliland. Still, again, waiting on 6 cars to pit. So I'll move him up a few spots, but not a great start right around where he qualified. Shane Van Gisbergen's fallen back a bit, scored 21st. He was one of the last cars to hit the pits as of recent laps. 6 more cars still have to hit pit road, so he'll probably get back into the top 15, but he definitely lost some time with that green flag stop. Maybe a little lengthy, making some major adjustments to the car perhaps as well. Whatever the case, though, he has lost a bit of time. Christopher Bell still staying out of the pits that last time by. Daniel Suarez up into fifth, so it looks like Ty Dillon has just hit pit road. And might be another driver that also just hit the pits that was staying out for a while because Suarez was in 7th, and now he's up to 5th. They are back from the commercial break. You'll get to listen in more to the NBC coverage. Again, your race is on your local NBC affiliate right now for today's action.
Bell out in front of the field here. Austin Dillon running in 2nd. Denny Hamlin is 3rd. Those 3 have not been to pit lane yet, as well as Brad Keselowski, who was on pit lane on lap 3, but he is currently running in the 4th position. Then Suarez and McDowell, we knew those 2 were going to cycle to the front. They have been battling for position once Suarez came off of pit road in front of McDowell. McDowell has not been able to get by him, but the gap is very close. A couple guys who have been watching from Victory Circle, and they're very familiar with that, is DJ and Hinch. And guys, were you expecting this aggression so early in this race?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rick. I think that Cup drivers always wonder when they have drivers that they haven't competed with very much, how they're going to treat them. And it's something that drivers, when they come and they watch what happens in this area, and drivers push each other around, is that something they feel like they need to do?
Well, here's the thing. I think those drivers want to be respectful as well. They're on another guy's turf. They don't want to make a bad reputation. We've seen a lot of aggression from them, but I honestly think some of it is inadvertent aggression. They're still learning the limits of these race cars. We saw Kobayashi go long down a turn 1. I don't think these are intentional movements. I think they're race cars. The last thing they want to do is mess up somebody's playoff opportunity. So I think that happened with Shane the big before. That's the last thing that Shane wanted to see was an accident. Hopefully he doesn't have a mess for Ty down the road. But these drivers are still learning a lot during this race.
Next time we come to you guys, you're going to have to be indoors because with the cars rocketing by you on the front stretch, you are so difficult to hear. But great stuff down there, guys. We appreciate it.
Battle right here picking up between these group. Chase Elliott lost the touch to these 2 a few laps ago trying to get around Ty Dillon. Now has closed the gap back up. The 99's missing some corners. You see it right there. A little bit wide.
McDowell trying to capitalize on it, and right back behind them is Chase Elliott, so hungry for a win in 2023. Marty.
Could today be the day for Chase Elliott? It might be. Chase Elliott has not won a road course race with this next-gen car, but they are so quick, especially at the end of runs. I talked to Alan Gustafson this morning. He said, listen, we focus on every race, but we have put a lot into Indianapolis and then to Watkins Glen next week as well. They expect to be even better at Watkins Glen next week. So, Junior, do you think the road courses are Chase Elliott's best path to the playoffs with a win?
Yeah, Absolutely. He's showing great speed today. You see the 5 car of Kyle Larson. He missed turn 11 and had to go over and park in the runoff, so he did not get penalized. He rejoins the field, but we're seeing it. I know this is not the battle for the lead right here. It should be once the cycle goes through. The 9 car looks like the best car on the racetrack right now. This is Larson in the larger screen. He's going to miss. Oh, big lockup with the right front. Just not going to make the corner, so he goes over here. He's got to stop. Comes a complete stop. Good job. NASCAR's going to watch that and make sure you do that properly. He does it. And he blends back into traffic. That lockup, though, on the right front is concerning on a flat spot tire. How that's going to affect the handling, and can the tire make it the full run here? We continue to watch this battle rage on. The 34 trying to put the pressure on. Suarez has been missing some apexes. His car just not quite handling and turning the way he wants. The more pressure the 34 can put on, he might work him into a mistake. Chase Elliott watches behind for an opportunity to get around both drivers.
And Steve, with the strategy that we've already seen, guys that had come to pit road around lap 17, 18, 16, how far are they going to go? How far will they stretch it, and how far do they need to go to make it to the end?
Well, I think if they get to 32, 33 to go, they're going to feel very good about it. As we see Austin Dillon come to pit road now. He's run 28 green flag laps plus the pace laps. So I expect Suarez and McDowell in those cars, they're really looking for 32, 33 laps to go in the race.
Again, firing down into turn 1. Suarez just in front of Michael McDowell and then Chase Elliott. McDowell staying within about a car length of Suarez, but not able to put as much pressure on that 99 as he would like to. Chase Elliott, after breaking a bone in a ski-boarding incident earlier in the year.
Ski-boarding?
He was out for 6 weeks, and then penalty for rough driving put him out for another week, and so missing 7 races. 7 races out from behind the wheel of the car has put him into a hole, and so he is looking to get out of that hole potentially today if he could get to victory lane.
That miss by the 5, we showed him miss the corner. It ended up costing, I believe, really just 3 spots. I think he lost a spot to Busch, to Reddick, and to Briscoe for cars that are on his strategy. He also lost a spot to Ty Dillon. Ty still has to come to pit road in that 77 on the left side of your screen. You see he's in the 8th position.
Good lap there. Really good back section.
Listening into the radio there, Suarez mentioned a good lap. Also a great lap. Shane Van Gisbergen was the fastest car on the track just a lap ago.
Yeah, the cars have pitted later. While tires aren't a gigantic advantage, much like, at Sonoma, it would be a bigger advantage. This track relatively smooth. New tires are still better, and the fresher tires definitely are showing up. Good laps.
Steve, what strategy is Denny Hamlin playing? Denny Hamlin right now hasn't been to pit road.
So he has no track position, so he's just going to run as long as he can to keep the freshest tires on versus the field. If the caution comes out right now, he knows he has to pit, and 10 or 15 or 20 may stay out, but the back 10 cars are going to pit anyway. He's going to cycle out kind of mid-pack, which is where he was. Marty, he doesn't expect to drive all the way to the front.
Well, I would think he would hope he could drive to the front, but that would be awfully hard today. Track position is the key for everything. You guys mentioned Kyle Larson. He lost those spots back to 11th right now. Here's the thing, Junior. You mentioned how tough a flat spot is on the car. Larson said it is definitely splat-plotted on that right front. They told him to take it easy on the brakes, and he said it's worse in the left-handers for some reason. So why is a flat spot, Junior, so bad for the driver?
Well, it actually squares the tire, and so the next time you mash the brake pedal in a braking zone, it wants to hang up on that flat spot and slide the tire again. It's really, you will have a small vibration that might hurt the turn, the ability of the car to grip the front and roll through the center of the corner, but mainly the biggest problem is trying to brake deep into the corner. You can't, it'll hang up on that flat spot. There's a spin right there, the 16 car. AJ Allmendinger had a big spin. This is over in the NASCAR Oval number 1, so he must have had a big issue coming in to turn 11.
Yeah, he is way off the racetrack right there. You see the fire coming out of it. He's trying to get it fired back up. That's actually the exhaust pipe.
Actually, I think he spun out of the final corner here, turn 13.
Yeah.
Car just come out from under him. I don't know how that could happen.
There you go.
He's not been happy with this race car all weekend. We came here expecting him to be a contender for this win, but he just has not had speed. Here it is, contact.
12, he's getting crashed.
So, Jeff, that was him jumping on the radio, saying if I get back to that 12, he's getting crashed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they must
He
have.
got into him.
And
Yeah.
then, you know, and you have to imagine this is something that's been going on for a couple corners. Blaney just doesn't turn guys for no reason. You have to go back and look and see if there's anything going on between the drivers of the past few corners there.
Denny Hamlin out in front, still has to come to pit road. Once it cycles through, it'll be Suarez and McDowell fighting for the lead here at Indy.
So the last two cars that still have to hit pit road as of right now, Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. Oddly enough, Hamlin, one of the don't have picks for today's fantasy lineup. The other two, based off of where they are running right now, Brad Keselowski in second, obviously, but he still has to pit. I also had him, I don't have list, and then Chase Briscoe. And currently Briscoe's in ninth, having a solid day. Currently top 10. We'll see if he actually stays there for the remainder of the race. All 38 cars still on the track, 31 of which still on the lead lap, even with a couple of pit road penalties that we had for speeding in the midst of the green flag pit stops, which took place not that long ago. Yeah, so that's where we're sitting right now, top 10. Again, Denny Hamlin in the lead. Brad Keselowski has scored second. Daniel Suarez third. Michael McDowell fourth. Chase Elliott fifth. Kyle Busch sixth. Tyler Reddick seventh. Alex Bowman eighth. Chase Briscoe ninth. And Kyle Larson is in 10th. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll get back to the action on the other side. You're listening live on KRC to the Verizon 200 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We're over halfway to our goal of 150 likes. Currently at 80. 50 laps to go. Lap 32 as of right now, as we have just over half the race remaining. And only a few laps to go in this second stage currently. Suarez is only 4 seconds behind race leader Denny Hamlin. The last lap, he was about 1.3 seconds quicker than Hamlin, which, I mean, honestly isn't that much considering the fact that Hamlin's got 32-lap-old tires. Again, there is not that much fall off. I remember Ryan Blaney, and I think it was the race last year, didn't even pit for tires. And I can't remember if he made it. I don't think he made it all the way to the end of stage 2, but I think he got to within a couple laps before the end of the stage for fuel. So I wonder if Hamlin and Keselowski are potentially within striking distance to win or finish second in this stage, knowing there's only 3 laps to go. There's a chance. I mean, Hamlin could steal a playoff point here because he qualified. Him and Keselowski qualified outside the top 20, so this could be big for them. But there is also obviously a chance Suarez and McDowell can end up catching those 2 cars before. And when Suarez catches Keselowski, it might create an opportunity for Michael McDowell to be able to pass him. Suarez has had a ton of clean air as of late, but catches a 6 car, he's not going to have the clean air anymore. Hamlin leads this lap now at the line. And we are down to 2 laps to go in stage 2. Keselowski only 0.6 of a second behind Hamlin, and was actually almost a tenth quicker than the 11 that last lap. Chase Elliott closing very quickly on Michael McDowell for 4th place. So he's still very close with the 99 and the 34. Can't count Elliott out of this by any means. But the 3 favorites definitely as of right now, the 99, 34, and the 9. Two laps to go, down to about a lap and a half now for Hamlin. Keselowski doing whatever he can to try and stay in the draft of the 11. It looked like a little bit cleaner into the braking zone in turn 7 for Keselowski as he seemed to pick up about a tenth or so on Hamlin. But he's still not quite there to be able to pounce on Denny for this playoff point. Playoff point would probably be more for Keselowski, considering the fact he has not won a race yet this season. If they can, of course, make it on field to the end of the stage. I mean, there is a chance they don't make it, but they're hoping to make it. They would actually have to go an extra lap, considering the fact that once they get to the start-finish line, they would end up having to pit the next time by. Keselowski closing a ton now on that 11 car through turns 10 through 14. And he may have a chance on the final lap of the stage to pounce on Denny. 1 lap to go. Hamlin not going to be aggressive with trying to break that draft down the main straightaway, as he seemed to have gotten off of turn 14 a bit quicker than the 6. Pulling him down that long straightaway into turn 1. Keselowski going to try to outbrake him. Now about a car length and a half or so is Brad behind Hamlin into turn 2. You can definitely tell the 6 carried maybe a little bit too much speed through the center of turn 1, as he couldn't hold a tight corner around the curbing on the bottom of the racetrack. Hamlin was able to gap him just a little bit. Into the chicane in 5 and 6. Both of them get through pretty well. Suarez is not going to have a chance to catch either the 11 or the 6 this lap. Hamlin very good through turns 5 and 6, really pulling Keselowski again. Whatever ground Keselowski gained in the second half of the last lap, he lost him, but Hamlin goes wide in turn 7 and may give Keselowski a second opportunity to make the pass. Brad is going to get to the inside, but then he has to lock the brakes up to keep from making contact with the 11 as they can make it through the corners in the S's. And now everybody's under one giant blanket for the race lead, as we have about 4 more corners to go in stage 2. Keselowski is right there on Denny Hamlin. He charges too hard into the corner. Keselowski hogs up the outside lane for Daniel Suarez, and Michael McDowell gets by Suarez as a result of Keselowski missing the corner. Brad keeps it on the racetrack. Now he's going to have to side draft and battle Daniel Suarez for a spot as they get to the line in a drag race off of turn 14. Suarez will get third by inches over Keselowski. Hamlin holds on to win the stage. Chase Elliott going 3 wide to the inside underneath the 6 in the 99. Gets by Keselowski, gets to the inside of Daniel Suarez. Can he clear him through turn 2? Elliott is there. He'll have the inside lane into turn 3. And he gets by Daniel Suarez. So Suarez is going to lose 2 positions at the hands of Brad Keselowski. And now Suarez is back to 4th place, which would eventually be 3rd when the 11 pits. Hamlin still leads. Suarez trying to get around Hamlin as quickly as he can before Chase Elliott's going to have a time to try to run down the 34 car. Hamlin is expected to pit more than likely this time by, as he picks up yet another stage win on the season. Your stage 2 results that last time by: Denny Hamlin got the stage win, Michael McDowell 2nd, Daniel Suarez 3rd, Brad Keselowski 4th, Chase Elliott was 5th, Kyle Busch 6th, Tyler Reddick 7th, Alex Bowman 8th, Chase Briscoe 9th, and Kyle Larson was 10th in the second stage. Again, that was your stage 2 results. Michael McDowell has now passed Denny Hamlin for the race lead. 1 corner after the fact, Denny Hamlin is on his way to pit road now. Keselowski to follow. Again, they were the last 2 cars that had not made a stop, as they were able to make it 35 laps on fuel all the way to the end of stage 2 before finally hitting the pits. And that lap traffic, or at least the slower cars of Hamlin and Keselowski, definitely allowed for Chase Elliott to close in on both cars. He gets by Suarez and now is very close to McDowell, because McDowell had to pass Hamlin, and Elliott never even caught the 11 before the 11 pitted, and Chase is within a half a second of the 34.
He'll wait on the Sunoco fuel to make sure that car is full of fuel before it goes anywhere. No changes requested by the driver. Again, that one very valuable playoff point awarded to the 11 team.
Now the 11 and the 6 did the gamble, scored the points. Now a caution would be perfect. They're full of fuel and the freshest tire in the field.
You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series Verizon 200.
Headed to a commercial break right now. For those of you watching on NBC, appreciate everybody tuning in. Stage 2 has just come to an end, so it is time for the diecast showing at the end of Stage 2 that we usually have right on the channel for these live commentary streams. We've got the driver who's won the most NASCAR Cup Series races on road courses in NASCAR history. It's the only Jeff Gordon diecast I have as of right now. Definitely got to stock up on more, as he's got a lot of vintage paint schemes. This is a 2009 DuPont / Nicorette green flamed race car. Pretty unique looking car. Obviously, Gordon had those the blue and red flames for a long time, but the green flames car is not one that you saw too much out of him. But again, this is his Nicker Wrap paint scheme from 2009, the wing car of tomorrow. I've showed this on the channel before. I wanted to show it off again here this weekend, and there you have it. I'll have the 1/64 scale diecast to start showing those next week on the channel during these Stage 2 breaks. Very detailed with the interior of the car. I don't know how much of it you can probably see on the camera or not. But, very detailed diecast. Most of them are, obviously, but for whatever reason, it's more clear on the interior of the race car on that diecast for whatever reason. Green Flames did look good on a car tomorrow. I thought it was a good-looking car. Silent Owl Scribe, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody that has been watching that I haven't shouted out yet. NASCAR Vintage 17, Billy Kramer, and a lot of others, of course, watching currently. Just over 200 people listening live. We're up to 91 likes. Again, our goal is 150 likes for today's stream, so be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. Finally had Hamlin and Keselowski pit, so your top 5 now has Michael McDowell in the race lead by 0.6 of a second over Chase Elliott. Daniel Suarez is 1.9 seconds back in third. Kyle Busch up to 4th, 3 seconds off the lead. And Tyler Reddick is in 5th place at 7.1 seconds off the race lead. They're back from the commercial break, and you will get to listen in to some more of the NBC coverage of today's Verizon 200 at Indianapolis.
Progressive.com and by Toyota. Let's go places. Speaking of going places, Michael McDowell out in front and almost missing the turn there as the 9 of Chase Elliott will close the gap even more.
This 9 car is the real deal today. He showed up in practice, showed up in qualifying, and lap after lap continues to inch his way into this battle. Now you see Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin with those fresher tires trying to recover, work their way back up through traffic. So everyone has made a pit stop now. So what you see for the running order is basically one stop required for everyone, right? You see McDowell, then you have Chase Elliott. Right off the rear bumper of Chase Elliott, the 99 of Suarez. As we were at break, this 8 has inched his way in. He's kind of joining this fight. You got to see the whole front stretch kind of line up, right? Then behind the 8, you have a little bit bigger gap back to Reddick. I think he's still a player. Bowman is behind Reddick. That's another car looking for a win. Oh, this traffic in front of McDowell is going to be tough.
Eric Jones in the 43, right in front of race leader Michael McDowell.
Yeah, we heard some potential transmission issues for the 43. We haven't got that confirmed, but some whispers on the radio. I don't know if that's the pace issue for the 43, but definitely some touch off the pace. Oh, Marty.
So Rick working lap 40 here. So Steve, when would you make that final stop of the day if you're the leaders? I'm hearing crew chiefs asking, how's the handling of your car? Pit crew's kind of stretching out down here on pit road. Seems like we're getting close to what could be the final stop of the day.
We just saw Denny Hamlin go, but 35 green plus some pace laps, or 33 green with some pace laps and some caution. So I would imagine we're going to see cars on pit road. It's 43 to go right now in the race. You know, the 35 to go is probably super aggressive. They'd probably like to see 33 or 32 to go. You basically, I think it would be hard-pressed to pit outside your fuel window, probably right at it, or at least maybe within one lap of it. The risk just really isn't worth the reward if you're one of these 3 cars who already has track position.
McDowell has been out front 15 laps already today.
Got this listening to the right-hander.
Chase Briscoe running back in the 7th position, Marty.
Boy, what a day for Mitchell, Indiana's Chase Briscoe, who loves this racetrack. Came here when he was a kid, and in fact, in ride-arounds, is right on board with the highpoint.com on-board That's how much this racetrack needs them. He has an Xfinity Series win. He needs a win in the Cup side to be able to make the playoffs. Having a terrific showing up in the 7th position. Said he needs a little more rear lateral grip. The longer they run, that's what he loses.
That rear lateral grip makes it very hard. When you want to go to the throttle, you can't go to the throttle until the rear of the car settles down. If you try to do it, it's just going to spin those rear tires. Right here, you want to be wide open. Get to it quickly, lift off the gas, apply that throttle really smoothly as we ride along with Chase. Progressive telemetry, watch how smooth he is on that throttle. Wide open now. Easy on the throttle to that right-hander. Heavy braking into turn 12. Left-hander 13. Watch how smooth he is on the throttle. A little bit of throttle, a little bit of throttle, a little bit. Now wide open as he exits. Got to breathe it a little bit coming to the front straightaway. Shifting gears, a lot going on. You have to modulate it. You can't just make those rear tires mad. They get hot, they get overheated, and then they will not make grip. Kim.
So Kyle Busch currently running in the 4th position, but came on the radio and said, I don't know what's happening. I have a lot of drag. I think I broke a valve spring. So Steve, if you hear your driver saying that, what's your first reaction?
Well, I'm going to go look at the SMT data, the car data. He says it sounds or feels draggy. Look at our top speed on the straightaways. If you have an engine issue, a valve spring, or a top end issue, you're going to see it at the end of this, the back stretch, the end of the front stretch. A valve spring, at a track like this, I can believe it. These cars and these engines have been pretty rock solid, but with all the downshifting, it's easy to mechanically over rev, which means you downshift at too high a speed, and the electronics can't stop the RPM of the motor. It's simple math. The tires are turning faster in that gear than you need.
His last lap on the racetrack over a second slower.
Keep digging for right now. We're talking to DCR guys now.
So they see or hear something. ECR is the engine provider.
Didn't see it in the lap time.
Valve spring. I'll listen when he comes back.
That's Richard Childers, car owner, and he loves that engine program, and he said he was going to listen. He thought if it was a valve spring, he would be able to hear that in the exhaust pipes when it came by him.
And he's going by pit road now, so we'll see if RC did hear something that didn't sound right.
Again, about a second off of what he and the leaders have been running.
We see Chase Elliott with Suarez behind him about 0.6 of a second. Chase Elliott is 0.6 of a second behind McDowell. Again, 5 laps from now would be aggressive if they came to pit road. 6 to 7 laps, they'd be able to fit right into their fuel window. Kim?
We're going to get a great look from Austin Dillon's Coca-Cola Zero Sugar on board. I talked to Austin this morning, and he said, we hope we can surprise people this weekend. This course has not been great for me. I've got 2 finishes of 30 or worse here. Right now, Austin very happy with that race car, saying he loves what they gave him this weekend. Currently running in the 15th position, and the team told me a top 15 is a solid day. A top 10 is a good day. We'll see if they can get there, break that top 10.
I've been impressed. Austin was one of the drivers that ran a little longer, didn't pit to lap 28, while the other cars pitted in the teens. And you know, he's doing a really nice job, driven all the way up into the 15th position.
Again, Dillon running 15. Out in front, Michael McDowell.
39 laps to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. We'll take a full field running order rundown for the 3rd time here this afternoon. Michael McDowell has 0.6 of a second advantage over Chase Elliott, who remains in 2nd. Daniel Suarez is 3rd. Kyle Busch in 4th. Tyler Reddick in 5th. Alex Bowman 6th. Chase Briscoe 7th. Kyle Larson 8th. Martin Truex Jr. 9th. And Christopher Bell is 10th. Shane Van Gisbergen in 11th. Chris Buescher in 12th. 13th place is Austin Cindric. Ryan Blaney in 14th. Austin Dillon 15th. Bubba Wallace 16th. Ty Gibbs 17th. Ross Chastain 18th, William Byron 19th, and Brody Kostecki in 20th. Harrison Burton in 21st, Ty Gillen 22nd, Kevin Harvick 23rd, Brad Keselowski 24th, Kamui Kobayashi 25th, and Denny Hamlin is in 26th. 27th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Almirola in 28th. Andy Lally 29th. Jenson Button is 30th. Corey LaJoie 31st. Ty Dillon is 32nd. 33rd place Josh Bilicki. Joey Logano 34th. Mike Rockefeller 35th. Ryan Preece is the last car in the lead lap at 36th. AJ Allmendinger a lap down at 37th. Eric Jones is 38th. And Justin Haley is 39th. Not a good day for Kaulig Racing. There was a spin from Allmendinger off the front bumper of Ryan Blaney in turn 14, which had put Allmendinger back in traffic a little bit, and it took him a while to get the car refired before he was able to drive away and lost quite a bit of time. They were battling just inside the top 15 when that took place in the late going of Stage 2. We're going to take a quick break here and then get back to the action. You're listening live to the Verizon 200 on KRC. Up to 106 likes. Again, our goal is 150 for today's stream. 117, make that 118 votes have been casted. We're just after the halfway mark now, so we will end this poll at 118 votes. Currently, you guys think that somebody other than Chase Elliott, Shane Van Gisbergen, or Tyler Reddick will win today's race. Elliott, Van Gisbergen, 26% of the votes, 36% for other. Tyler Reddick with 11% of the votes. So, yeah, interesting. You guys think somebody other than that will win? Michael McDowell looking quick. Chase Elliott, though, right there behind him, maybe looking just a bit quicker if he can get the clean air. We'll see if Elliott can get by McDowell anytime soon. Maybe going to have to be dependent on lap traffic to make that pass. And they are not that far away from catching some lap cars at the rear of the field. I believe Ryan Preece in the 41, who, again, is the last car in the lead lap, is only a few seconds ahead of where McDowell and Elliott are running right now with nearly 90-second lap times, and Preece is 87 seconds off the lead. Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson running side-by-side for position. Actually, that is the 91, Van Gisbergen in the Advent Health paid schemed race car today, so Larson up there trying to battle for position. Christopher Bell also with Larson. Larson's fallen off quite a bit here over the course of this run for SVG and Christopher Bell to catch him. Remember, Larson was battling for fourth a little earlier, and he seems definitely off the pace all of a sudden. Christopher Bell passing him in turn 14 as well, so 2 positions lost for Larson that last lap. Showing a replay of the 91 making the pass. He was able to cut to the inside as quickly as he did in turn 9 to make that move. It's like he hit another gear. Clean pass though, nevertheless. Rule is, as long as you get 2 tires on that curbing. '78 car of Josh Bilicki during the commercial break also went for a spin. That was in turn 12. Going a bit wide, maybe some slight contact made. Poor Bilicki's been kind of bullied around here a couple different times today now. First time he has completely spun around. And Kyle Busch definitely a little off on speed. He was so far ahead of some of those other cars behind him that that's why he's still in the top 5. Tyler Reddick is finally caught and passed Busch for 4th. Busch remains in 5th place still, but that last lap he was a second and a half slower than the leader, so dealing with some sort of an engine issue at the end of the longer straightaways on this racetrack, and that is costing Kyle Busch a ton of time. And he was closing in on those 3 cars ahead of him, especially in the midst of that battle at the end of Stage 2, with the cars of Hamlin and Keselowski getting in the way of some of the leaders, so definitely a tough break for sure. Looked like there were a couple cars that just hit pit road. That last time by, fuel window just about open to be able to make it to the end from here. And I'd imagine the leaders will be coming onto pit road very shortly, because you don't want to lose that track position if we end up getting a caution. So I think most of the field really is going to end up pitting within the next 5 laps, probably even less than that. And that could cycle the running order out just a little bit more. Chase Elliott slower than Michael McDowell on this lap. He was about within 1/10 of a second of McDowell over the last few laps, but had some sort of an issue in one of the corners, it appears, on this current lap that they are circuiting around this racetrack, as Elliott is now about a full second behind McDowell. Michael McDowell pretty slow with his pit stop, though, allowed for Suarez to get out in front of him when they made their first stop of the day. Suarez catching Chase Elliott now, and there's a battle for second going on as Daniels try to get that spot back through turns 13 and 14. Not going to be able to do it. Suarez also in a situation, again, he was within 2 points of Michael McDowell, and they were within 5 points together of Ty Gibbs, who held that last spot coming into the day. Gibbs didn't get any stage points in stage 1 with his early spin. He's recovered to 16th, but still no stage points in today's race for Gibbs, in either stage that is. So considering the fact that Michael McDowell won stage 1 and got that first stage win of the year, was top 5 in stage 2. Same goes for Suarez, getting a top 5 in both stages. Definitely not the way Ty Gibbs was hoping this race would go for him, despite qualifying in the top 10 this afternoon. Suarez has definitely been putting a lot of pressure on Elliott. Elliott was 4/10 slower than Michael McDowell the last lap. Some of that was with Suarez getting alongside of him in those finishing corners of 13 and 14. And because he's having to deal with Suarez so heavily right now, it is allowing Michael McDowell to pull away mightily. Suarez now to the back bumper through turn 10 on Chase Elliott as they continue the battle for second place through 11, and heading now for the short chute on oval 1 and 2 into turn 12, one of the passing zones on the track. Suarez hard into the back of Chase Elliott. He knocks him wide, completely moving him out of the way. And I'm sure Elliott will remember that as Daniel Suarez slammed into the back of Chase. That was more than a bump and run. That was a you're getting out of my way whether you like it or not kind of move there. And Chase Elliott had no chance to keep control of his race car there. Luckily, he didn't go way off racetrack, but I mean, he did end up with his left sides clipping the grass off the exit of turn 12. That's how far wide he got shot from the 99's front bumper. Chase Briscoe will be the first of the drivers in the top 10 to pit. Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric also in with him.
Early side of the window with 34 laps to go in this race at Indianapolis. Kyle Larson also going to come down pit road. You see him on the bottom of your screen. He asked Cliff Daniels a while ago, how long do we have before we can pit? Remember, he has that flat spotted tire. He made it live all the way through this run. 34 to go. These stops, and I bet you see some other drivers coming down pit road this time, Dave.
Absolutely. Austin Cindric and Brody Kostecki. And Cindric said that he needed a little bit of help in the turn early in the run. They reduced the air pressure in those two front tires. 5-car on pit road as well.
I would be shocked.
We'll wait to see how many more laps it'll take for more of those leaders to come into the pits. In fact, Michael McDowell from the race lead is coming in now, as is Daniel Suarez and Chase Elliott just behind them. Got to make sure they don't speed. Final stop of the day for the top 3.
See if he's able to make up any time here. Looks like the gap kind of continued now. A long pit lane. Don't try to get aggressive. Don't speed, Kim.
And Michael McDowell still complaining, just needs a little bit more lateral grip, especially in the rights. The crew's going to go to work on that machine. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. Crew Chief Travis Peterson told the spotter, make sure you're working with the other cars we're going to blend in with. They think that's the 11 and a 6. Talk to those spotters. Make sure they're going to give us room. Marty.
Midpoint of that run, Chase Elliott said, I love the balance right here. For me, it's all about keeping rear grip. And then almost coming down pit road, he said, I've got to protect that left rear. Whatever you can do to help me to protect that rear grip. That's the situation for Chase Elliott. A heads-up race against Daniel Suarez and his team. They have the #1 pit stall because they won the pole. Suarez clearly better at the end of that run, but a long stop for the 99. Chase Elliott is going to go by. A disastrous stop here for Daniel Suarez and his team, losing track position.
We've already seen the 9 off pit road. We've already seen the 34 of McDowell off pit road. The 45 of Tyler Reddick was seconds behind this battle, and he is all the way to the rear bumper of the 99 of Suarez. The absolute worst time to have an issue. 33 to go. Now it's back in the hands of the driver.
Steve, what were they?
So Elliott closed the gap a little bit, it seemed like, on Michael McDowell during that pit stop, but he is still behind him as of right now. Unfortunately, though, Daniel Suarez out of the battle with the 9 and the 34 as of right now. Very slow on the right side of that pit stop for Daniel Suarez. showing a replay of what exactly it was that took long. They got around the left sides pretty well. It was actually the hose. After they dropped the jack on the left side, the front tire changer's hose got caught underneath the race car, so the jackman had to run all the way back around to the left side to jack the car up for the changer to get the hose out from underneath the splitter. And a very lengthy stop for Daniel Suarez, where if we don't get a caution to the end of this race, has taken him out of a shot to win. More than likely. Shane Van Gisbergen will take his first lead of the race as Christopher Bell is on pit road right now. SVG out in front. Won at Chicago. He's going to lead laps in his second career NASCAR Cup race as well. Interested to see when he exactly comes on to pit road here. Interesting that we haven't seen more cars pit yet. Suarez 11th. Hamlin, Keselowski are in between the 34 and the 99, but both the 11 and the 6 at the pit. I think, yeah, Kyle Busch just pitted, so he's in 12th. Kobayashi has to pit yet. He's up to 11th. And I think Shane Van Gisbergen is on pit road right now. Austin Dillon also, and Christopher Bell did not pit yet. He'll stay out longer once again as well.
Well, that's the key, guys, right? Like, if this isn't a must-win, while a win would be great, those stage points has made the day relatively successful. Let's not run somebody over, run off track, wreck our car trying to get back up there. There's still 31 laps to go in this race.
Well, I love the fact they said, hey, we're going to put it on your shoulders. We trust you. You're going to bail us out. I love that. That's saying, hey, man, we messed up, but we got the best driver. Go get it done. And that is unlike that team. That has been throughout the year the best, the 8th best pit crew on pit road. Just a small miscue, and it's going to be costly.
Well, last wave of green flag cycle underway. Bell leads. Wallace. McDowell, though, fresh tires and full of tanks, running third. He can go to the finish.
Headed to a commercial break as of right now. The only two cars in front of Michael McDowell and Chase Elliott that still have to pit are Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace. And then Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski also still have to hit pit road, but currently they are running 6th and 7th right behind Chase and just in front of Daniel Suarez. Currently, Chase Elliott is a few seconds behind Michael McDowell in the running order. In that last lap, McDowell was about 0.6 quicker than Elliott. So whatever the case was there, not quite as fast that last time around for McDowell, but he was still 0.2 quicker than Chase. So he is putting a gap on the 9 car in the late going. He is almost 4 seconds ahead of Chase as of right now on the racetrack. Can Michael McDowell get his first win of the season, his first since the Daytona 500 back in 2021, and end up locking himself into the playoffs today, making it even harder for Chase Elliott because that's only going to move the cutoff line further away from him, having another bubble driver getting a win. Christopher Bell on pit road right now during the side-by-side commercial break. We will take a break of our own here. For right now, again, you're listening live to the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard on KRC. And we will have 2 more breaks to pump out yet here before the end of the stream after this one. Down to 30 laps to go. Chris Buescher getting by Austin Cindric on the racetrack. Buescher's been slowly moving through the field. He might have a shot at a top 10 because he's right behind SVG and Kyle Larson. I saw Shane Van Gisbergen at a slow stop as well, 15.5 seconds. So a few seconds slower there compared to an average 4-tire stop. Of course, that 91 team not racing every week, so that pit crew is probably a part-time pit crew as well, which probably didn't help his odds on pit road there. But final stop of the day, shouldn't have to worry about that the rest of the day. It's just a good thing that he doesn't speed going on to pit road when you're not used to this style of pit stop for a lot of these drivers in other motorsports. Haven't really seen any issues with that so far. Bubba Wallace is in the pits from second. And as well, the race leader just came in of Christopher Bell the lap before, so that means that Michael McDowell is back in the lead. And he is 3.8 seconds ahead of Chase Elliott as of the start-finish line the last time by. So Michael McDowell trying to get the win. He's the only Ford that's going to be in the top 5. Once Keselowski pits, because he still has to make one more stop, he's going to be the only Ford, I believe, in the top 10. The next closest is Chase Briscoe in 12th right now. So Ford not so hot today, but Michael McDowell is, and he still might get the Blue Ovals in victory lane after all. Again, 29 laps to go in the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard.
Bubba Wallace leaving pit road, doing a nice job. Fender's still on it, car's still looking good. And as we take a look at the running order with 29 laps to go, Michael McDowell, Elliott, Suarez, Reddick, all off pit road with enough fuel to make it to the finish. Hamlin, Keselowski, they're a little off strategy. We're expecting a pit stop out of the 5th and 6th place cars. Kyle Busch in 7th has enough fuel, potential engine issues. Kobayashi still has to make a pit stop. Bowman, Briscoe, Truex, Larson, all off pit road. So those are kind of your players. Right now it's McDowell with a nice lead, over 3 seconds. What a run by Michael McDowell into this organization on the week where they said, these are our drivers. McDowell and Gilliland, we're going to continue to build. So impressive. I know he won the Daytona 500, and that was a monumental day for this young man, or veteran driver to be quite honest. 450 starts. But if he can come and win on this road course, needing to make the playoffs, this would be huge.
Michael McDowell is a fighter. You think about his career, first about 10 years or so, he didn't even run a full-time season. And he kind of drove cars that were not very competitive, and he just kept grinding and grinding and grinding, and here he is. There's a lot of work left to do, 28 to go. Let's be clear. A lot of stuff can happen, but Michael McDowell knows how to go fast in a race car, and he has found a way to persevere and keep going when a lot of people would have quit. It's good to see a guy with that much fight having a shot to win this race.
Car owner Bob Jenkins for Front Row Motorsports has stuck it out, ground his way through many years running toward the back half of the field, finally seeing his organization become a front runner. We've seen him run good at road courses, we've seen him win at super speedways, but this is legit speed. They drove up, taking the lead, led many laps today. They're putting themselves in a great position to make the playoffs on performance alone. It's incredible what this team has done to get better.
Remember, they've lost their crew chief. Right? Blake Harris was the crew chief a year ago. He moved over to Hendrick Motorsports. Travis Peterson takes over this 34 car, and we've seen some great strategy calls and things like that. But for raw speed, this is the most impressive run we've seen for the 34.
Travis Peterson was an engineer at Hendrick at one point. Came from Junior Motorsports. Was an engineer on one of my cars for a while. Finally found himself an opportunity as a crew chief and is doing an incredible job with this team this year.
So again, McDowell out in front. He has a 3.5-second lead over Chase Elliott. 39 cars started the race, 39 still running. 3 are off the pace just a bit, a lap down with Malicki, Logano, and Haley. Corey LaJoy right now running in the 34th position, and Corey has a few special guests that have joined that team on the pit box.
Yeah, Rick, one of the cool things about the crossover weekend, look who's hanging out on Corey LaJoy's pit box. Colton Herta, who's won here at the road course before. Kyle Kirkwood won a few weeks ago on the streets of Nashville, won Long Beach earlier this year. So I just talked to both of them, and I said, hey, 28 laps to go. You going to get out of here and beat the traffic? They said, no way, man. This race is too cool. They're enjoying it, and they didn't have to be here today. They came out on their own volition. Of course, Andretti Autosport, Duke Cambridge having a closer relationship with Spire. I asked Colton, is that going to bring you to the racetrack more? He said, I would love to. I asked Kyle, what cup race would you like to run? He said, I would love to run Miami. That's my home track. But Junior, I asked Colton Herta, what race would you want to run? He said Daytona, but only if Junior gives me some lessons. So are you up for some lessons for Colton Herta? Maybe give him a car for the Daytona 500.
Man, what an honor that would be. And all of these guys, every time, and they're all mostly, right, road course specialists, right? That's their expertise. They all want to run ovals. When they come to NASCAR, they want to go to Daytona, they want to go to ovals. Kyle Busch had a little issue out on the racetrack as he's trying to find pace in this car with the engine issues. He's about a second off, so he's having to do everything he can in the braking zones and through the turns to get speed or any kind of pace out of this car.
Larson just went by him, and we were talking and looking at it as we have an issue here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. just in front of that 15 of Jenson Button. But Kyle Larson had just gone by Kyle Busch, and you look at the issue that took place here, a little contact there, maybe a little bit more here, maybe a lot more there.
Just a little arguing going on. Yeah, Ricky's like,
He sent him.
Yeah. He's talking about Kyle Busch trying to make pace, so let's take a look. Just locking up that tire. And that's not a corner where you typically see lock up, but he's actually just pushing as hard as he can in all the corners to be able to try to find speed, and he has to drive the car differently when it's down on power.
Yeah, when he downshifts also, it doesn't slow the car down like it does when it's full power, and now he's going to continue to lock it up. So it locks it up. He's missed a groove. Now he's got to come down here and stop. What happens is once you flat spot that tire, and now it literally puts a flat spot on it. And now it seems like every time you go to brake, it finds that flat spot, and it just continues to slide it. Here he comes to pit road.
I think you heard him say tires. Needs tires.
Yeah, Freeze says 4 tires, guys, 4 tires.
One of the hardest braking zones as far as car balance because you're still kind of turning, which unloads that right front tire, and you can almost see it just skipping across the pavement right there. And this is a good decision. If you know it's that easy to lock up, come put fresh tires on it. If you continue, that tire will finally fail. You'll slide all the way through the tire, then it could be heavy damage.
On pit road, and race leader McDowell is just coming through turn 11 right now, so it looks like Kyle could stay out in front of the leader and stay on the lead lap. It will be close as he's coming off of pit road, and McDowell making his way right now through 12 and 13.
And it's just such a long pit road, but as we were covering that with the 8, I will say the last 2 laps, the 9 car has taken this lead to under 3 seconds. So with 25 laps to go, we saw this in the IndyCar race yesterday, that battle between Scott Dixon and Ray Hall. Green flag running to the end. We'll see this time between McDowell and Chase Elliott.
24 to go here at Indy.
With 24 laps to go in the race, your top 10 right now. Again, Michael McDowell with a 3-second lead over Chase Elliott in second. Daniel Suarez is 8.4 seconds back in third. Tyler Reddick sits in fourth, 9.1 seconds off the lead, and Brad Keselowski is in fifth. He's 15.6 seconds off the lead. Denny Hamlin has not yet made his last pit stop, as well as Keselowski. Hamlin's in sixth place, 16.1 seconds back. 18 seconds off the lead is Alex Bowman in 7th. Chase Briscoe in 8th, 19.8 seconds off the lead. Martin Truex Jr. is 20.8 seconds back in 9th. And Kyle Larson rounds out the top 10 as he is 21.5 seconds back. So as of right now, that is your top 10. 23 laps to go in the Verizon 200 at Indianapolis. Chase Elliott trying to close the gap down to Michael McDowell. He was nearly 4 seconds off the race lead after the final pit stops took place for both cars at right about 34 laps to go. So in 11 laps, he has cut the lead down about 1.2 seconds, as he is now 2.8 seconds back. He was another 10th quicker than McDowell the last lap by. So look out for Chase Elliott trying to mount a charge here on Michael McDowell. In the pre-race, I was very adamant that these were my 2 favorites to win the race today. I thought that they had a lot of speed, and it was more than likely going to come down between them. It was going to be a coin flip, and you could see that that is the case right now as well. So we will see how this is going to definitely shape up the finish of this race. Todd Gilliland with a little bit of damage on his race car. There was a little bit of debris left behind, I believe, from the 38 of McDowell's. He's made his way to pit road. Quite a bit of damage on the left front fenders. They're trying to pull that left front tire off. Tough break. He was one of the sleeper picks coming into this race. Haven't really cracked the top 20 for most of this race, though, despite having a top 5 last season at Indianapolis. Gillen hasn't quite put together as good of runs over the last several weeks compared to what he was doing back in the spring earlier this year. But the road courses have been pretty good for him, just not today, unfortunately. Can Chase Elliott run down Michael McDowell again that last lap? He was nearly a tenth quicker, so he puts together a tenth or two a lap. He may have a chance to catch Michael McDowell before the end of the race, but can he keep that kind of a pace up over the course of 22 laps, because there are so many laps to go still? If the pace gets even quicker than that, he's definitely got plenty of time to make up that much time on McDowell. How is McDowell's car handling over the course of the run? Is his speed going to start to taper off, and maybe they'll start meeting in the middle a little bit more as well? That could be a possibility. Who knows? Appreciate everybody that is watching the stream right now. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We'll keep our live commentary coverage going. We'll take our second to last ad break of the race as we are sitting at about 22 laps to go. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. Our goal is 150 likes for the stream today. We are at 119 right now in the late going of this race. So be sure to hit that like button. McDowell working his way out of the S's. Right at the end of that last fuel run, it looked like Chase Elliott kind of fell off right before they made the green flag pit stops, because that's when Daniel Suarez was able to catch and pass him for that second place position. So I almost wonder, as we get like very deep into this race here today, if maybe the same thing will end up happening again. This time by at the line, Chase ran a 90.032 to McDowell's 90.141. So again, another tenth quicker, and now he's just 2.6 seconds off the lead. So about a tenth a lap, really, is what Elliott is faster than McDowell. It's very slight, but is still quicker nevertheless, and he has been quicker for about 5 or 6 consecutive laps now, so it's a good enough sample size to tell that he is beating McDowell. Now, the telemetry we have isn't showing exactly what corner he seems to be better in, but I'm sure that there is telemetry, obviously, and data that these teams have to know exactly where Elliott is maybe better than McDowell and vice versa. The spin from McDowell's teammate, Todd Gillen, came in the short chute between turns 11 and 12. Got the left front fender into the outside wall and limped his car back around to pit road, which luckily he was very close to the pit lane. We continued to stay green as he was able to stay out of the way for the meantime of that spin. And no major debris was left on the racetrack, so that is why we stay green right now in this race. Chase dropped off a little bit, might have made a mistake that last lap, 20 to go. He was 2/10 slower than Michael McDowell, and the lead's back up to 2.9. So Chase was slowly chipping away. He got to within 2.6 seconds, and now he's back to 2.9 seconds off the lead again. 21 laps remain.
Chase Elliott desperate for a win as well. Steve mentioned a moment ago he has been cutting into McDowell's lead. Why? Here's a hint. Listen.
Your gear selection change is not hurting you back there. That's positive.
So there you go, changing the way he's shifting gears on the backstretch, and they've started catching McDowell a little bit. That pit stop a moment ago for Daniel Suarez, the last stop of the day so far. Maybe there's one more. Cost him 10 seconds on the track. Suarez saying, I just need rear grip. That's what he needs the longer they run, and he is now 9 seconds behind McDowell. And Tyler Reddick came on the radio a little while ago, said the handling of the car is not bad. I just don't have the speed I thought we would have today, and we also need a little bit of track position as well. He's in the 4th spot, Dave.
Alex Bowman is not giving up in the 5th spot. He has passed 2 cars in the last 2 laps. His crew chief, Blake Harris, told me this morning, we could win this week or next week. Alex is really good, and we are good as well. He said, I just want him to get to the end so he has a chance to fight, Kim.
And Dave, riding behind Alex in the 6th position is Brad Keselowski, and they're on an opposite strategy. They still have to make their final pit stop
Indianapolis. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because his hometown's about an hour from the racetrack. Population 4,300 in Mitchell, Indiana. And today, over 100 friends and family here as Denny Hamlin starts to come down pit road in front of you, Dave.
And Marty, we knew this was going to happen because he pitted on lap 36. Having qualified 25th, crew chief Chris Gabehart told me, I need things to fall our way today. They have not. He's got to pit out of position for the final time today, and he'll lose all the track position he had, Rick.
Yeah, stage 2 winner, though, so he did get a playoff point, which he can carry into the playoffs and then through each round if he is able to proceed from round to round. And that was a big thing for him, coming in wanting as many playoff points as he could get.
Speaking of which, that was the 5th stage win of the year for Denny Hamlin back in Stage 2, and McDowell's first stage win of the season when he won Stage 1. As mentioned already on the broadcast towards the end of Stage 1, that was not only McDowell's first stage win of the year, but it was the first ever stage win for Front Row Motorsports, which is impressive considering the fact that 2017 was the initiation of the stage racing era. So for 7 seasons in, they finally got, as an organization, their first stage win here today, and may get another race win as well as McDowell continues to lead Chase Elliott by 2.9 seconds.
Morgan's going to get by Keselowski. Busher as well.
Right at the back of this, that 12 of Ryan Blaney has put some really nice laps together.
And right there, as you called him out, you see the tire lock up. There's Keselowski making his way onto pit road. We haven't seen the 12 near the 16 since their incident on track.
The last car in line, we haven't said his name, I think, yet today. That 41 of Ryan Preece is a lap down. Kim.
And like we talked about, Brian Keselowski making his final stop of the day. They were on a completely opposite strategy under green flag conditions right now, looking for a very smooth stop. Crew chief Matt McCall reminding the team, no mistakes here. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for Brad, who has loved his car all day.
Brad coming off pit road. A career day as far as laps led for Michael McDowell. 36 laps led already. Listen into the radio.
Be smooth, do what you're doing, you're beginning to drive away. Just give me gap. How many laps to go? No more feedback, please.
How about that? No more feedback.
That's the best thing a crew chief can hear, right? He wants gap, back to Elliott, and no more information. It's crystal clear what I have to do. I don't need to talk to you anymore. That's my information. 18 laps to go.
Yeah, how do you do these last 18 laps? You focus one corner at a time. Right now, the focus is turn 1. How do I get by this 8 car? How do I do it cleanly? It's just one corner at a time. You can't think about lap. You can't think about the next lap or the next lap or even the end result. You have to connect all the dots, hit every mark, do everything right for the next 17 laps, and that's corner by corner. And some drivers just want to focus. They don't want anybody talking to them. Just let me do my job.
Think of the time these guys have been in the car, right? We had that one really early yellow, but since then it's been green flag. 60 straight laps of green flag racing.
Looks like Jensen Button and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. having some more contact on the racetrack. So this is down into turn 7. So the 15 misses the corner. Doors the 47 hard.
Jensen Button, an F1 champion. They don't do that in F1. There would be a penalty for that.
But if you remember, the 47 spun the 15 earlier. So maybe a little payback there.
Absolutely.
Sure, there's some anger involved.
On board with Kamui Kobayashi. He's like, man, this is fun to watch, but I don't want to be any part of what you guys have going on. 93 minutes of green flag racing. Over an hour and a half. And, you can say, well, they had 2 pit stops. Well, that's not a break. You have to focus on your pit road speed. Basically, you get about 10 seconds while you're sitting in the...
Whoa! And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sends Kamui Kobayashi.
Yeah, what is happening here?
So Ricky needs to get about 3 or 4 more, and he'll have the ball. All the international drivers. That trick.
Trying to be perfect. And we see the 47 charging in a little bit too hard. Gets in the back of the 67, and around goes Kamui Kobayashi.
one more.
I think we got it.
Yeah, let's focus on the RV.
Well, there you heard it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s turned another one. Dale Jr. just mentioned he's going for the hat trick right now on spinning international drivers today. Him and Jenson Button getting into it. Now Kamui Kobayashi has gotten spun off of the front bumper of Stenhouse's race car today. Michael McDowell currently leading by 2.6 seconds over Chase Elliott. That's as close as the margin has been following the green flag pit stops that took place a little bit earlier on in the race. We'll take a full field running order rundown now as we are in the late going. McDowell with the race lead. Chase Elliott is currently second. Daniel Suarez in third. Tyler Reddick fourth. Alex Bowman in fifth. Chase Briscoe is sixth. Martin Truex Jr. seventh. Kyle Larson eighth. Christopher Bell ninth. And Shane Van Gisbergen is in 10th. Chris Buescher in 11th place. Austin Cindric is 12th. Ryan Blaney 13th. Ty Gibbs 14th. And Austin Dillon is 15th. 16th place, William Byron. Brody Kostecki in 17th. Ross Chastain 18th. Bubba Wallace 19th. And Eric Almirola is 20th. 21st is Harrison Burton. 22nd, Denny Hamlin. 23rd, Brad Keselowski. Kevin Harvick, 24th. Jenson Button in 25th. Andy Lally in 26th. 27th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ty Dillon 28th. Kamui Kobayashi 29th. And Mike Rockenfeller is 30th. Corey LaJoie in 31st. Kyle Busch 32nd after having his engine problems. AJ Allmendinger 33rd. Josh Bilicki 34th. 35th is Ryan Preece. Joey Logano 36th. 37th is Eric Jones. And Todd Gillen 38th. Justin Haley still back at 39th with significant damage as well in the race. It is all 39 cars. 30 cars, though, on the lead lap as the leaders try to work through lap traffic. Who will get through it better? Will it be the 34 or the 9? It looks like Brody Kostecki is back on pit road once again. And he was in 19th, too, so not sure exactly why they are pitting. Taking fresh tires, though. They're going to sacrifice quite a few positions. And may end up going a lap down. Maybe he flat-spotted a tire and lost time that way. Denny Hamlin's gotten back around Brad Keselowski for a spot as they're in the middle of the pack battling for 22nd currently. 14 laps to go now. Michael McDowell noticeably quicker than Chase Elliott the last lap. Chase was gaining on him about a tenth a lap for about a 5 to 6 lap stretch, but then after that, McDowell was just a skosh quicker than Elliott for the last handful of laps and has been able to open that gap up just a little bit more once again. Elliott picked up in lap traffic when McDowell was trying to get by Corey LaJoie and AJ Allmendinger to lap them a lap ago, so that's how it got back to 2.6 seconds, and now it's back to about 2.7 seconds of a lead as of right now. Arena Sayre, E180 Techno, a few others welcome into the stream. Aiden Fritz, Sunshine Coolwater, and everybody who has been watching throughout the course of the race today, be sure to hit that like button. We're 20 away from our goal here, and we're down to just 14 laps to go. We'll take one last break, and then we will stay, I guess, ad-free the rest of this race.
He's got a very fast race car. He's worked himself back up to 14th. So a good fight by Ty Gibbs. Didn't quit, didn't lay down, and now trying to get by Cindric.
Two Xfinity Series champions running here nose to tail. Dave.
Yeah, I like that, Rick. They both won that championship. They'd like to win this one. Here goes Ty Gibbs to the inside. Oh, is he going to have enough room? They're going to still stay side by side, and Gibbs is going to have to back off. Remember, he won yesterday. Confidence to this young man, and he's showing it right now, racing Cindric.
Takes a spot away from Austin, and so Ty Gibbs now moving up into the 13th position.
That's pretty impressive, man, to work that outside turn 12 to have the opportunity in turn 13, and shows you kind of pace they have and the confidence he has as a driver.
Just not the cautions that he needed to get caught back up. He's got plenty of speed.
We got a couple more spots. Sorry, Steve's got a couple more spots right there in front of him. He's going to go after Blaney.
I was starting to look at guys like that, Junior, right, that had speed, just haven't got this field bunch back up, and I mean, your heart has to break for Daniel Suarez, right? He came in, had that hose underneath the left front tire, rejoined way behind, 8, 9, almost 10 seconds behind the leader. He's closed his gap down to 6.5 seconds, but, you know, he's going to need some help. This is a guy that came in needing a great day. He started on the pole, was overtaken by McDowell, and he closed to the rear bumper of McDowell on the first set of green flag pit stops, doing a great job, and actually leapfrogged the 34. Had a little pushing and shoving with the 9 car. And then really the moment for the 99, which ruined the day so far, was this. The air hose underneath the left front. You see the 99 driving by on pit lane. They still have to change tires. Just a huge, it's just heartbreak for Daniel Suarez. There's still 12 to go. You get a caution. He's going to be right back into this, but continues once again faster than both McDowell and Elliott that lap.
And now McDowell getting into a little bit of traffic here that he'll have to negotiate around.
Yeah, he was losing a little bit of time to the 9 of Chase Elliott. That shrunk down to less than 3 seconds, but then started beating Chase's time. But this traffic right here is going to cost him a little bit. He's going to have to work through.
Getting by Mike Rockefeller there in the 42.
And that's what you want as the leader. You know, he showed Rockefeller he wanted the spot. Mike gave him some respect, didn't push him, didn't fight him very hard. Now he's on Kobayashi. He's hoping for the same thing right here. Do not hold me up, please. I'm the leader.
So far, we have seen the international drivers be very respectful of the regulars.
Kamui does a good job there, allowing a 34 through.
And now Rockefeller trying to get by Kamui Kobayashi. Marty.
Speaking of Mike Rockefeller, in the 42, last week, Noah Gregson was suspended indefinitely by NASCAR after apparently liking a racially derogatory image on social media. Then on Thursday of this week, Legacy Motor Club and Noah Gregson put out a joint statement saying that Gregson had requested to be released from his contract. In the statement, Gregson said, quote, "I love racing and I'm looking forward to a second chance to compete for wins at the highest level of NASCAR and most importantly, make my family, my team, and the fans proud of me once again." Rockefeller not only in this week as Kamui Kobayashi tries to track him down, but also next week at Watkins Glen for Rockefeller. Much more, Rick, to come on this story as the weeks develop.
Yeah, Marty, and it was a Monday, as you mentioned, a Monday call, and Rockefeller was in the United States. He was at Road America. He and his family, which consists of his 3 kids, age 2, 7, and 9, all rode back from Road America to Charlotte. Almost a 15-hour car ride to get back, get his seat fitted in the 42, spend a little time with the team to understand exactly what he was going to have as an undertaking. But the call came from, co-owner of Legacy Motor Club, Jimmy Johnson, who had run with him in Garage 56 when they were together for the Le Mans race. We see Van Gisbergen here tracking down Christopher Bell. That's for 9th.
These two are tired of each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris faced each other all day. Christopher's like, man, this guy again. He's been on his bumper.
You know, a different experience.
Oh, big moment right there. Wow.
A different experience for Shane in this race. You know, he came into Chicago and his background had a lot of street racing, right? And so he came there and he's a little more comfortable than all the other guys. For everybody else, it was very strange, very weird. And he came in there and he was comfortable and he had speed from the minute they unloaded and got on racetrack. He's been fast this week for sure, sitting there running 10th. Obviously very good, but now he's getting a little bit more of the full NASCAR experience and how good these regular drivers are.
And while Rockefeller and a few of these other drivers are here for a one-off, this guy's might be somebody we see more often going into next season. He's going to finish out the Supercars this year, but he wants to come back. He wants to race more in the Cup Series. He wants to make a career, albeit a brief one. I don't know how many years he could possibly run in the Cup Series and have success, but he definitely wants to give it his best opportunity and come out here and make it work.
If he's going to do it, they're going to have to find a way for him to get oval experience, not at the Cup level. If you took him, he went to the truck race the other night at Indianapolis Raceway Park, ran in the low 20s, high teens. If he's going to race on Sundays with these guys at Michigan's, at Charlotte's, at those places, he is going to have a ton of work to do. So you got to find a way to do it. Trucks, Xfinity, late models, whatever it is, before you expose him to that at this level.
And they're comparing his entry into NASCAR sort of like Marcus Ambrose. You got to remember, Marcus ran trucks. He had a long sort of runway into the Cup Series. It wasn't just a year or two, a crash course, if you will, to figure these ovals out. So it'll be quite an impressive thing. If it's ambitious for what he wants to do, but definitely going to try to make it work, and we'll see if he'll come back next year and run some more races with us. This battle right here is tightened right up, this 99 car of Suarez.
You see Reddick to the inside in the 45 and try to take that spot away. Again, that's for third.
Now they're going to run through here, almost contact. Reddick did not want to give it up. He wanted to maintain position. Look at him working the car. He was offline, a lot of dirt on them tires, trying to work them tires clean so he can perform in the braking zone here.
Under 10 laps to go in this race, coming up on 8 to go.
Good speed out of this 45 right here late in the race, and he too would probably love to see a caution to give him an opportunity at the front too.
You mentioned a guy looking for a caution, the 9 of Chase Elliott. Second, started third, has run at the front all day long. 2.5 seconds back, and this is a guy that has 7 road course wins to his career, but all in the old generation of car. 7 wins and 11 starts, unbelievable. But since the move to the next gen car, 11 starts, 0 wins, 144 laps led, but the stats are a little off. He has 5 top 5s in 8 races, and he's well on his way. The same sort of speed again for the 9 car. So the interesting thing is, you know, those top 5s have come to different winners. SVG won them. We've seen Reddick win the races. Now you have Micah McDowell, right? It's not like he's losing to the same car. Back when he won those 7 races, it was like Elliott Truex. Now it's like a different cast of characters in front of him each and every road course race, but only one spot.
Yeah, you see the names that he's amongst as far as most road course wins. Now, there are more road course races being run now, but Steve, you mentioned, the numbers not quite spelling out the whole story because his average is the best. I mean, his average finish is really good. He just hasn't been to victory lane as often as what we had seen in those first 11 road course starts.
And he's hovering right around 2.5 seconds behind McDowell. He's a little bit quicker. You have to imagine, though, who's pushing harder? Is McDowell pushing harder? Is he running just enough not to make mistakes? You have to imagine Chase Elliott is giving us everything he has, Marty.
As you can imagine, all the spotters around the track for the 9 are saying, hey, there's debris everywhere. They do need that caution. But talking to Alan Gustafson this morning, he said, here at Indianapolis, I think Chase is still learning this track. In fact, in the middle of the race last year, he told the team that. I'm still picking up what to do. Watkins Glen next week. That's the track they have the most confidence in. Chase has 2 wins there. Maybe should have been 3 had his teammate Kyle Larson not moved him out of the way at the end of the race last year. McDowell out front right now, but Chase Elliott feels very good about next week, Kim.
Well, Marty, the communication to McDowell has been very minimal. They just have been telling him the interval to chase every lap. But the communication between crew chief Travis Peterson and spotter Clayton Hughes has ratcheted up. Take a listen.
Point 8, 9 has the same traffic to deal with, driving away. Gotta find these spotters giving a out of the way. They're not helping us enough.
So the intensity has ratcheted up for crew chief Travis Peterson, talking about the lapped cars on the track, making sure the spotters for McDowell are getting the track clear for their driver to have a smooth last 7 laps here at Indy.
Big corner back there of turn 7. Just about missed turn 7 entirely in that 34 car.
And Junior, one thing to bring up with 7 laps to go is we expected all these pit stops around lap 49 to be inside their fuel window, but remember,
47 on the way.
you hear more than that once on top of that 47. It'll be interesting to see. They're going to be close on fuel. I think everyone can make it, but you wonder if anyone in the field is sweating, right? Did they get their car completely full? Are they running harder this time? We've seen cars go this far. We'll see if anybody has issues in the closing laps.
A little further back in the field, Andy Lally, Mike Rockefeller. Rockefeller on the inside, contact, moves Lally out of the way.
McDowell finally around the 47 car in the braking zone of turn 1. Now there are 3 lap cars between your leader McDowell and Chase Elliott.
3 cars
That's good information.
That's McDowell's team. That's something to comfort him. Hey, there's a lot of traffic between y'all. Just relax here, 6 to go, coming to 5 laps to go for the 34.
You said relax, and I think that's the right word. Like, I didn't like the get him out of the way, move that guy, get the spotter to move that guy. Like, just let him do his job. You know, there's no need to give reason to panic to the driver. It's about hitting your marks right now.
Well, we have to remember, too, there's a second channel. There's a lot of that communication that's happening on. I'm sure the driver's probably not hearing most of that frantic communication. That would be terrible for the driver to have to deal with trying to get around, negotiate this racetrack.
Well, one thing, this panic, you want to talk about panic? Mike McDowell winning changes that whole bubble conversation. I mean, look at the bottom left, right? We talked about 3 points, 5 points, all of those things. Well, McDowell, if he can hold on to this win, he jumps up. He will end up in yellow. You see the leader next to his name right now. That puts Bubba at plus 28. Bubba's having a fine day. He's doing everything he can. He's running 18th, Marty.
Yeah, Stephen, that's the frustrating part. Absolute worst case scenario for 2311 and Bubba Wallace. They did not need a new winner right now. McDowell out front, and in 5 laps could be a new winner. But Steve, what do? He and Booty Barker came in with a plan, just have a solid day. They've done that. They've had a very solid day. Bubba Wallace right now in 18th. Not spectacular. They did what they needed to do, but the new winner just changes the game.
Well, you just have to execute the plan you laid out. This isn't race 1 or 2. Right, we've run well over 20 races at this point. The regular season is a long time. You just now have to try to close it out. Oh, man, we have a car off in the gravel.
That's the 16 of AJ. He's going to be able to get to the pavement wherever he's at. Looks like it's on the runway for
Yeah, stays at speed.
Pretty frustrating day for AJ.
But think about, Bubba Wallace come into this race plus 58 to the cut line, so he could possibly lose about half of that cushion. And the 99 of Daniel Suarez gained 29 points in Michigan. Nobody saw that happening. And then having another incredible day here. 17 points earned already, regardless of where he finishes. Made this bubble battle compelling. It's been awesome the last several weeks to talk about it and to watch it happen. Chase Elliott still with those lap cars between them, just about 2 seconds, a little over 2 seconds back as we see AJ off track back there. He did a good job, I know some people running around this racetrack would love to see a caution. AJ did a good job, the veteran, to be able to get through that gravel, back on the racetrack, keep it going.
Michael McDowell out in front. And remember, he has one career win at the highest level of stock car racing, and it came at the biggest race, the Daytona 500 back in 2021, as the 2 and the 22 wrecked. The 34 of McDowell, the seas parted, he went through and was able to stay out front and get the win. Chase Elliott finished second to him, but what a huge celebration it was for McDowell to get that win. Now, he has been the dominant driver with the dominant car here today at Indianapolis.
All these boys are calming down out here, especially if he heart attack when he's going off track and stuff.
That is certainly Channel 2. There's no way that Michael McDowell is listening to that. But guess who ran second that day in the 500? Chase Elliott.
Right now, 2 seconds behind McDowell. That gap has not gotten any smaller.
And Chase hasn't really been able to run down and get around these lap cars either. They're not slow cars by any means. You can see they're hanging right around.
3 laps to go for Michael McDowell in his second career NASCAR Cup Series win. This one to propel him in the playoffs for the first time since 2021. And Chase Elliott would be in an even deeper hole as for his sake of trying to make the playoffs, as he was scored 80 points below the cutoff line. If Michael McDowell's the winner, Chase wins, he's in. If McDowell didn't win the race, he'd be a lot closer to the cutoff line, but unfortunately McDowell would move that line obviously a little bit further. McDowell came in first driver below on points to Ty Gibbs today. And Bubba Wallace, who was sitting almost a full race worth of points ahead of the cutoff line, having an off day today, as well as the different winner below him in points, would put him as the last driver in. So that's kind of the points situation as we are approaching the finish of this race. All McDowell needs to do is get to that white flag that would signify that the next flag would end the race, whether it's the yellow or the checker. Chase Elliott's still trying to get by a couple lap cars of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Mike Rockenfeller. He'll do that right now. And as he tries to close back on McDowell again, we'll see at the start-finish line exactly how far behind McDowell he's going to be. He's about 2.1 seconds behind him right now. So 2.1 seconds, he's going to have to be about a second faster a lap to catch Michael at this juncture of the race. I don't believe McDowell is going to catch another lap car to the end. He's got a few seconds ahead of him before Kevin Harvick in 24th would be approached by the 34 car. So Michael McDowell trying to just hope he gets back to the white flag. That's the only real thing that is separating himself with the possible date with destiny here in a matter of moments. SVG still hanging on to a top 10 run right now just in front of Chris Buescher. He's about a full second ahead of him. And actually he's not that far behind Christopher Bell for 9th place. McDowell working through the S's. 1.8 seconds is Elliott behind McDowell. He's definitely trying to turn it on late. He's getting a little bit of a draft off of Mike Rockenfeller's race car on that long straightaway between turns 6 and 7. Now they're heading into the S's. I was on the wrong area of the racetrack there for McDowell. That last time by, Chase did get by Rockenfeller through turn 7. He's trying to do what he can to chase down Michael McDowell. The problem is he's waited a little bit too long to really start to turn on the afterburners. You wouldn't think that he would be able to close in from 2 seconds back, and he's going to need a major mistake out of Michael McDowell on this final lap if he's going to catch him. About a 1.3 second advantage for McDowell off of turn 14. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Crossing the Art of Bricks right now is McDowell. Elliott not close enough to get any sort of a draft off of the 34 car. And you have to imagine McDowell was not pushing that hard that last lap. He has definitely backed off because Chase Elliott was 0.8 of a second quicker than the 9. He had a 2.1 second gap before Elliott passed Rockenfeller. I think he's willing to use all 2.1 seconds that he needs to make sure he doesn't make a mistake and overcook the race car, allowing for Elliott to close in. And you have to imagine Chase is pushing as hard as he possibly can right now, working through turn 6. Last harsh braking zone that they're going to have to work with down into turn 7 this time by. Elliott is still 1.2 seconds off the race lead. McDowell braking way earlier than what Chase Elliott is. Elliott trying not to lock the tires up and force himself to go wide, but he is doing whatever it takes right now to try to get to victory lane. Might have to wait another week to try to get the win at Watkins Glen, but as for Michael McDowell, he's working his way into turn 10 right now as he still holds just about a 1 second lead over Chase Elliott. 3 more corners to go for McDowell into turn 12. Elliott still about 6 to 8 car lengths back. 2 more solid corners for the 34. Chase is going to get within about 5 car lengths, and that's going to be about it. Off of turn 14, Michael McDowell will dominate and win at the Indianapolis road course and pick up his 2nd career NASCAR Cup Series victory. Chase Elliott will finish in 2nd. Daniel Suarez 5 seconds back in 3rd. Tyler Reddick finishes 4th. And Alex Bowman rounds out the top 5. Chase Briscoe with a 6th place finish. Solid run for him today. Martin Truex Jr. ends up 7th. Kyle Larson 8th. Christopher Bell 9th. And Shane Van Gisbergen ends up 10th. Chris Buescher in 11th. Ty Gibbs in 12th. Ryan Blaney 13th. William Byron 14th. Austin Cindric 15th. Austin Dillon in 16th, Ross Chastain 17th, Bubba Wallace 18th, Denny Hamlin 19th, and Brad Keselowski finishes 20th. Harrison Burton 21st, Brody Kostecki 22nd, Kevin Harvick 23rd, and then the finishing order behind 23rd, as Harvick was the last car in the lead lap. Mike Rockenfeller will finish 24th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 25th, AJ Allmendinger 26th, Ty Dillon 27th, Jenson Button 28th, Corey LaJoie 29th, Andy Lally ends up 30th. Ryan Preece 31st, Josh Bilicki 32nd, Kamui Kobayashi 33rd, Joey Logano 34th, Eric Jones 35th, Kyle Busch 36th, was 2 laps down. Todd Gilliland finishes 2 laps down in 37th, Justin Haley 38th, Eric Almirola 3 laps down in 39th. We'll round out the field today. 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 58 seconds total time of today's race. The quickest Cup race by far this season, as we had just 1 caution, and it was all the way back on lap 2 as we went over 70 green flag laps to the finish on a road course. Impressive work by these guys. Saw a couple spins throughout, but no major issues that warranted a caution. McDowell, who wins, also ended up winning stage 1, so he picks up 6 playoff points today, awarding himself into the postseason, and also leads 54 of the 82 laps in today's race. Denny Hamlin on pit strategy did not have to actually pit at all in the first 2 stages, and that's how he was able to win stage 2 before McDowell was able to get back to the lead. I think McDowell got up to second past Keselowski. Couldn't quite get to Hamlin, though, until the following lap. So Hamlin picked up a playoff point, leading 8 laps as well. But a solid day, nevertheless, for Michael McDowell, as he'll be the one you'll hear from first on the front straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from today's race. 91.36 miles per hour was the average race speed. Through the cycling of lead changes, we actually had 7 different drivers who led a lap, and along with that, we had 11 lead changes with those 7 drivers. And Justin Haley was that only incident back on lap 2 after contact in turn 6 between himself and Joey Logano. Here is Michael McDowell as he is working his way back to the front straightaway.
1 spot short for Chase Elliott. He had got the gap under a second, but just not enough time, and Michael McDowell didn't make a mistake.
0.9 of a second was the margin of victory.
Beautiful time, brother. This checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. There's the family. He's locked in the playoffs again. The tradition that started with Dale Jarrett after winning the Brickyard 400 here, taking his team to kiss the bricks. Well, Michael McDowell, his family, and his team are going to be able to do that same tradition.
Could you pick 2 better wins than the Daytona 500 for the first career win and the second one at Indianapolis? It puts him in the playoffs. Michael, as a young man who was coming up through open wheel racing, did you ever dream you would win here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Oh man, it's such a dream come true. I'm so thankful to everybody at Front Row Motorsports, Bob Jenkins, Horizon Hobbies, Love Shop Soft Freight Auction, Chicago Pneumatic. Man, we had a fast forward Mustang. Everybody at Roush Engine Shop, Doug, these guys gave me everything today. We had the fastest car. We executed, we did what we needed to do. Just so thankful. So thankful to still be grinding it out in the Cup Series. To put on a performance like that. I don't know if it was dominant, but it felt pretty dominant to me.
Welcome to the playoffs. What were the emotions on those final few laps? Because Chase Elliott was coasting quick.
You know, I was really trying to pace myself. I figured there'd be a late race caution. I didn't want to burn my stuff up, so I was just trying to maintain that gap. Then when I got into traffic, started closing, I had to push it, but I just can't believe it. So thankful to Bob Jenkins, all of our partners, Bell Racing Helmets, Sparco. There's so many people that help us. So thankful to everybody that's stuck behind us. It's been a grind, and I'm so proud.
Did you think the path to the playoffs for your team was with a win, and much less, I'll go with dominant as well, a dominant win?
You know, I thought we could point our way in, but after the car that we had yesterday in practice, I thought, man, we got a good shot at winning if we could just get track position and maintain it. So yeah, I can't believe it. So thankful. Also, Wiley X. I don't know where they're at right now. They should be on my head, but they've been with me for over 10 years, and it's great to have partners like that.
Michael, what does it mean to have the family here to celebrate a win at Indianapolis, a place you always dreamed of just racing at, but it also puts you in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's such a big deal. I mean, you know, winning the Daytona 500 was one of the coolest moments you could ever have. But going to victory lane without your family, that was tough. And so we cherry pick. My family comes to the races. We think we can win. We thought we could win this one. Just so proud.
There you go, Michael McDowell, the emotion. Jamie walks in. He's in the playoffs. He wins at Indianapolis, a place coming up through racing, Rick. He dreamed of racing. Now he's won it. He'll get to kiss the bricks in a moment.
And you see the moment hitting him. He can tell what he's just done. He's accomplished something.
Congratulations to Michael McDowell winning the Verizon 200 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today. We'll look at our predictions, see how they ended up unfolding as we went through the finishing results already. We'll start off with the sleeper picks because the guy that won was in the sleeper picks today, Michael McDowell. Ah, man, I was debating for a very, very long time, not only today, but also during the live stream. It didn't make my actual win pick until the pace laps of this race because it was a coin flip for me between Michael McDowell or Chase Elliott, and they ran 1-2 for pretty much the entire final stage. Elliott could never catch him. McDowell was superior throughout the course of the race and ended up getting the win, and I just picked the wrong guy. And I was probably leaning more towards McDowell before the stream started, but knowing Chase Elliott's success on the road courses more so than McDowell is why I went with Elliott overall. He has won on a road course before, even though he hadn't won with the next-gen car. They mentioned in the late going to the race over the broadcast, as you heard there briefly, that Chase Elliott has had the best average finish of anybody on the road courses with the next-gen car. He just hasn't won a race yet. And again, here today, he finishes with another top 5. He's got 3 top 5s this season in the 3 road course races he's ran. He just hasn't been able to win, and today finishes second. Watkins Glen may be one circled for Chase Elliott, though, next weekend. If he's got a similar car as he did today, I'm sure he is definitely not going to go down without another fight once again. But that will be next Sunday. As for this Sunday, again, congrats to Michael McDowell for winning this race. And again, he was one of the sleeper picks. The other sleeper picks, Shane Van Gisbergen ends up with the top 10, sneaking in there at the 10th place run. Solid start. Hey, he's 2 for 2. First 2 career starts, 2 top 10s. I wouldn't be complaining if I was him. I was having some issues with the throttle earlier today, but I don't think it was anything like too major. I'm sure they were a little bit off on speed from where they would have liked if they were going to compete for the win anyway, considering that they qualified 8th and was about 12th in practice. So he ran pretty much between the positions that he looked like he was going to be on speed based off of yesterday's on-track activity to the race today anyway. And the other sleeper pick would have been Todd Gillen. He got in that accident a little bit later in the going. They stayed green. Came back onto pit road, but had quite a bit of damage. He ended up 37. So 2 for 3 in the sleeper picks this week. The must-have picks, I had Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick. They finished 2nd and 4th. And then the other driver for the must-haves would have been Kyle Busch, who ended up finishing 36, was actually in 4th place and within a couple seconds of the lead towards the end of Stage 2, but unfortunately was having an issue with his engine. Seemed like there was a valve spring that maybe had popped off that caused his engine to not top off on speed at the end of the long straightaways headed towards turn 1 and turn 7 today. So that hurt him. He was about a second to a second and a half off the pace of the leaders pretty much the rest of the race from there, and fell from all the way from, again, 4th back to 2 laps down in 36. That is a very tough break for Busch because he looked like he definitely would have been in contention for a top 5. Probably didn't have anything for McDowell or Elliott there at the front of the field, but definitely could have been in the hunt for 3rd with Suarez and Reddick in the late going. Here's Dave Burns standing in with Chase Elliott.
Get off of 14 a little better just to have myself in a better spot getting into 1. So just really appreciate the effort, man. Our Napa Chevy was really good, really good. Just needed just a little bit more, and came up a bit short. But congrats to Michael, man. He did a good job. Ran a great race and stayed mistake-free, and that's what you got to do to win.
I was going to ask, what's that like, chasing him down like that, knowing one mistake, and you can have it?
Yeah, I lost too much ground under that pit cycle, and was trying to pace myself for the long haul. It kind of had that green flag feel, so, and I thought I did that, just needed to do a better job getting through traffic there.
How about Chase, the driver, 77 laps under green? Haven't seen that here. What was that like?
It was great. Feel good. Ready to go for 77 more.
All right. We'll see if we can get that next week at Watkins Glen for Chase.
Daniel Suarez comes home in the 3rd position after having a very strong car today. You guys had an issue on pit road where the hose was under the car. How do you come to terms with that, and what happened?
I mean, we win and we lose as a team, and that's all I can say. The guys brought a very fast race car. I felt that maybe we were one adjustment behind in the first run with the back of the car, but then we made it a little bit better. But I felt like I was always one step behind the 9 and the 34, and then at the end, I felt like when my car came alive again, we had that issue. So just a little bit of heartbreaking, but that's part of the sport. All we can do is continue to push, continue to build race cars like these that are capable of winning races. I can thank everyone at Trihouse Racing, all the sponsors, Freeway Insurance, all the people that help us to perform this way.
You won the pole here. You had a dominant car. What's the outlook and optimism headed to another road course next weekend?
No, I mean, definitely we can perform, I think, even better. I feel like yesterday we were very strong, and today we're strong. We're lacking a little bit. I didn't like my first half of the race, but I'm pretty sure we're going to go back, analyze everything, and come back stronger next week.
And of course, Daniel Suarez is going to be a favorite when we go to Watkins.
Alrighty, so again with those predictions, we went through the must-haves and the sleeper picks that don't have picks. All 3 finished outside the top 10 as predicted for today's race, as Brad Keselowski ended up 20th, Denny Hamlin finished in 19th. And then Chase Briscoe finished in 6th. He was one of the don't-haves as well. So 2 for 3 all the way around all categories. 6 for 9 total for this weekend. I'll take it above 500 race prediction week. Taking a look at the fantasy team and the fantasy league on the NASCAR mobile app or website. You can go to NASCAR.com, go to the quick link section at the top of the screen. I'll actually walk you through it here real quick. If you aren't in the league already yet, you'll definitely want to tune in because you got a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing for the Cup Series the following season. If you win the regular season or the playoff championship, excluding the Daytona 500 for that prize. And as you see at the top of the screen, quick links, Fantasy Live is going to be the first tab. Click on it. Sign up with your email. It is free to join. Create a password as well, and you pick 6 drivers every week. It's not the same 6 drivers. In fact, you can only use the same driver up to 10 times throughout the course of the season. And as you see right there, there's my team at the end of Stage 2 at Locks. Kyle Busch was looking good, and then at the beginning of Stage 3 was having the problems, obviously, with the engine, so I had him in the lineup over SVG because he was in the top 5, and fortunately having that problem cost me quite a bit of points because he only ended up with 11 points total, 1 point for his finishing position in 36th, and then the 10 stage points he scored through the first 2 stages. SVG ended up scoring 29 points today, only 2 stage points, but still ended up with a top 10 finish. So definitely left some points back there. As far as the bonus points go, though, I believe I hit 4 for 4 this week. That might be the first time all season I've been able to do that. Chase Elliott beats Tyler Reddick. Truex beat Buescher. Shane Van Gisbergen beat Brody Kostecki. And then Michael McDowell beat Justin Haley. So, I mean, that definitely helped out quite a bit. And we'll see where that ranks compared to everybody else in the fantasy league. It ranks 3rd. Yeah, so... And if I could have had SVG, I would have blown everybody out of the water this week. Oh, man, that hurts when you get this late in the season and you're trying to play catch-up, but that's what I get for trying to play catch-up. Had the top 4, and then 10th was in my garage, unfortunately. And, I mean, if Kyle Busch didn't have the problems, that would have obviously helped too, but you win some and you lose some. Got a chance to get more back the following week. Monster Jam X10. And Nathan Powers actually tied for this week's win at Indianapolis on the Fantasy League. They each ended up with 259 points. I ended up 3rd with 254. Derek Booth and P-Chat Motorsports tied for 4th, rounding out the top 5 at 223 points. Let's see, Monster Jam X10. Who'd he have on the Fantasy League this week? He had Shane Van in his garage also, but he had Larson in the starting lineup as well as the other drivers that were on my team, so we had very similar outlooks. I saved Larson. I was going to have him in the lineup this week, but I actually... I didn't even have... Let me look at this real quick. I don't even have Larson available. I thought I had one more start for Larson. I wasn't going to start him anyway. I was actually going to save him for Watkins Glen, and now I'm just realizing that I actually don't have another start because it's showing 0 out of 10. That's unfortunate. I think he's the only driver I've used 10 times this year. Alright, well, I guess I'll be not using Larson again. But yeah, Monster JMX 10. That was the only difference because he had the same bonus points too and went 4 for 4. Nathan Powers, who scored the same amount of points... He actually had Chris Buescher in his fantasy lineup instead of Kyle Larson. He had Busch in his garage and then went 4 for 4 with his bonus picks. Did I miss something there? Because how do they... Oh, Monster Jam X10 had Buescher over Truex. So Monster Jam X10 ended up with 30 bonus points to 40 for Nathan Powers, and that's what allowed him to tie for this week's win. And again, the point standings coming into the week, I think I was the highest scoring of anybody in the top 5, but only gaining like 21 points, I think I gained, or no, 31 points is what I gained. I was a little over 200 back going into the week, so we're going to be a little less than 200, 2 weeks to go. You have a chance, long shot in, but you got 26 races to get to that point, as Jeff Burton kind of stated for the actual playoffs in the Cup Series. Can't just wait till the final couple weeks and hope that it's going to be enough to get in. So we'll see. 2 weeks to go in that league. Congrats to everybody that's up in contention here late. So Michael McDowell gets the win today. And that is going to wrap up our live commentary stream as well, as we've gone through all the post-race results, the predictions, the finishing order, and a couple of interviews there, as you heard from Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, and your race winner, of course, Michael McDowell. Thank you, everybody, for watching this race on this channel. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Actually, before we end the stream, we are only 5 likes away from our goal of 150 likes. So we're going to stay right here until we get those likes. So again, hit that like button if you guys have not done so yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. But run that like counter up. We got to get to 150. We're very close. So we're going to stay here until we get to our goal. If you have not hit that like button yet, got to get 5 more. Breda Charlie, thanks for tuning in. Yep, top 10 for SVG. Once again. Had pace for that. Goes to show how well equipped he is in NASCAR when it comes to road course racing, that he came to a track that everybody was familiar with and he still ended up with a top 10 finish. Can you smell what the Rock's cooking? I love that channel name. That's great. Give the race 7 out of 10. I think the new winner kind of helps that vote out a little bit. It made things more interesting down the stretch. We have hit 150 likes. Appreciate that, everybody. Michael Pate, thanks for tuning in there. 2/3 of the Triple Crown, yeah. Yeah, he's won at Indy and he's won at Daytona. Here's an interview with Shane Van Gisbergen with Marty Snyder here before we step away.
Different than Chicago.
It's tough here because everyone's on it. Everyone knows the track, and there's a lot more room for error, so everyone's racing aggressively. But can't thank the Project 91 guys here enough. The enhanced Chevy, so much fun to be back. And yeah, just hopefully can do more. Had an awesome battle with Kyle and Chris there. They got the better of me at the end, but battling with those guys was great.
So what did you learn about how Cup drivers race? Because you were kind of out in front of them at the street course. You were in the middle of it all today.
Well, it's aggressive, but it's fair. You know, I put a block on the 48, and then the next corner he just moved me, so I guess I deserve that. But yeah, the racing was fine. I really enjoyed it, and all the battling when you go for a move on someone, they give you room and they expect it back. So yeah, really cool.
How would you sum up your entire week? Because you ran the oval at IRP and the Truck Series, which was, you know, a learning lesson, and then also the top 10 here today.
It's been an amazing week. I can't thank Justin Marks and the Trackhouse team enough to give me this opportunity. I learned a lot in the truck on Friday night, and then, yeah, just to come here and race again. And although top 10's awesome, your expectations are high because of the last race, so just have to realize that top 10's still pretty good.
I'll ask you what I asked you after the win at Chicago. What's next? I mean, your team in Australia has already said, hey, you can go if you want to. You said, I want to be here. Do you see yourself here full-time next year?
I don't know about full-time, but I'm working towards something at least. The team Triple Eight in Australia has been really good to me and forthcoming with what I'm allowed to do. So I'm working hard, but here, it's so much fun. I'm having a blast. The fans here are awesome towards me, and all the people too. I'm enjoying it, so really look forward to coming here.
And what a record for SVG. The win and now a top 10 here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, his only 2 starts in the Cup Series are top 10 finishes. A win, and as Marty said, this 10th place finish today.
I'm super impressed because much like we said about McDowell, the way this race ran, there was no room for an error. If you made a mistake, it cost you all day long. So 2 sets of green flag pit stops. He was able to execute. It looked like he lost a little bit, which you would expect versus the guys that have done it a lot. But him and Christopher Bell, guys, SVG and Christopher Bell have battled each other now for, I think, 2/3 of 2 entire races. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, and he gained more and more speed as the race went on, running really competitive laps. In the second half of the race, some of the best laps on the racetrack, so the pace is there. But again, I mean, this kind of turned out like everybody might have expected in terms of coming to a racetrack where the Cup guys have experience. He was still able to make a great account of himself, you know, a little bit better qualifying effort, some yellow flags to bunch the field back up, and he's right in the thick of it.
And I don't think you can take away his influence on Daniel Suarez's race today. When he came, he's his teammate, and when he came to Chicago, he immediately has speed. And so that opened everyone's eyes. They talked about pre-Chicago, how they were in the sim, they were working, they knew he was going to be fast. There's no way that hasn't moved into the other race car drivers. Daniel Suarez had a real opportunity to win this race today. SVG, you cannot discount a top 10 finish. You can't, you know, I know that it wasn't a win like it was in Chicago. Still a really good effort. And I want to see what his future looks like. I want to see him go through, we know he can compete on the road course. We know that. I want to see him go through the process to learn how to race on ovals and see what that presents itself. Can he do it? If he has enough time at his age, could he get to this level in Cup, running as many ovals as we do? And we won't know that until we see him over and over and over in lower divisions trying to learn that skill.
You look at the 2.
Alrighty, so that is going to be it. Be sure to hit that like button again. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Appreciate everybody that did hit the like button as we hit our goal of 150 likes here in our post-race following the Verizon 200. Very quick stream, very quick race today. Again, barely over 2 hours was the total distance. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people might not find the race very interesting without a lot of caution shaking up the field, but at the same time, it makes the race flow a lot quicker, so you don't have to sit through it as long. So just the one caution today, again, barely over 2 hours is all this race took from drop of the green flag to checker. I'll see you guys next weekend, Watkins Glen. I'll give you the start times before we roll on out of here for next week's races. The Truck Series will have off next week, so it's just the Xfinity and the Cup, and both are at the Glen. we'll check this out. So next Saturday, the Xfinity Series race will be on the USA Network, and our coverage will begin at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday, the NASCAR Cup race will be on the USA Network, and our live stream will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, trucks off next week. Our Xfinity race Saturday afternoon will begin at 3:30 Eastern, and then at 2:30 Eastern, our Cup Series race will go live with our pre-race program. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and I will see you back and better than ever again next time.